Hello, everybody. Welcome to Comfy Cozy's book discussion. Tonight, we are going to be discussing Cherry Pie or Die by CeeCee James. This is our book club pick for September. And obviously, I'm not going to be discussing this one alone. I have two beautiful ladies to the side of me.
We made it.
So
we made it. We have power.
That we were able to actually get them both here, because yesterday it would not have happened that way. But I'm so glad that we decided to do this so that we could have both of them. So I'm going to let my lovely co-hosts go ahead and introduce themselves, just in case you don't know who they are, which I'm sure you do because they're wonderful. But I also want you to know that if you did read the book, please leave a fox emoji, but do not tell us your star rating yet. We're going to start doing that at the end. So don't tell us your star rating just yet. Just go ahead and leave a fox emoji if you read it. Okay. Wendy, if you want to introduce yourself, tell us your channel. And if you want to, since you don't have like a book to talk about, you can say your favorite genre or genres.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Wendy from Wendy's Inspired Reads, and I mostly love to read fantasy and historical fiction. But I also like to read some romance and thrillers every now and then, but those are primarily my favorites. So I loved the historical parts in this book.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I am Leah from LeaBeth Book Time here on YouTube and Instagram. And I love to read fantasy, specifically gothic and romantasy. I love feel-good books. I love romance. That's probably what I read the most of. And then sometimes some thrillers. And I loved this book too for the historical aspects as well. And also the food aspects. And I love cozies. So cozies are for me, maybe not my favorite genre, but they're like palate cleansers. And I really enjoy a good cozy, just like a good cozy read, good time. And I specifically love when they're fast paced. And this one was. So it's very excited about it. Yeah.
Yes.
It got straight to the action.
Yeah, and we were talking about it backstage, and I was like, "Well, let's just go live." I mean, we were talking about it anyway.
We're too excited about it.
My name is Hannah from Teachers TBR, and I am the host of Comfy Cozy Book Club. If you don't know, that is our bi-monthly book club that celebrates all things cozy. This is our book club book, which we're going to be discussing. If you did not read it, then this is probably not the discussion for you, because we're going to be discussing spoilers. So you could drop in, say hi, but if you didn't read it, love you so much, but you shouldn't be here. Also, I'm just going to give a quick synopsis of the book, unless either one of you want to do that. Do either one of you want to do that? I'm totally fine if you do it. If not,
I'm good. I feel like Wendy has a good handle on the historical aspects. I remember some of them, but maybe not all.
Yes.
Come on, go, Wendy. You can do it.
Well, okay. So if I leave anything out, you guys can add in to it. How about that? So this book is following Georgie Tanner, and Georgie Tanner moves back to her hometown, and because something has happened to her tragically. And she moves back and she gets a job at her aunt's B&B giving historical tours. I don't know if specifically they're historical ghost tours. I think they're just historical tours. And some of the historical sites that she goes to are haunted. So there's that aspect. And so she's giving a tour one night and the lights go out and there's been a murder when the lights come back on. So it's that classic Clue, locked room mystery vibe. So, did I leave anything out?
There's even a Mr. Green, which is in Clue. So
I know there's so many Clue elements to this, and I love.
I wrote Wendy, and I was like, "This is just like Clue." Or have you seen the movie Knives Out? It's also like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people to investigate.
And the candlestick that she tripped on, and the candlestick ended up having a big part in the book. But
the candlestick was a big portion of the book. And so, yes, I also thought that's very Clue-like.
I really did like picking out the little Clue vibes. So, all right. Anyway.
You think she did Clue intentionally? It was like an overlay or like an inspiration? It felt
I feel like she did it on purpose. There's too many names that I feel like inspired Clue.
Oh, 100%. I feel like she did it on purpose.
Totally.
Which makes me believe, like, if her books are going to be based off of something else. Because I felt like this was so heavily clue coded. Like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe her next
Maybe.
books are going to be based off of, I don't know,
like
maybe
Agatha
she's
Christie or something.
Yeah.
With just a different spin-off mystery. I
I'm
like
gonna
it.
look into it.
Yeah, I was
I
going to say
don't
Wendy is the one who knows all the deets because she found out what people don't really know is that the aunt Cecilia is not
in the
really
back of my mind, I remembered that, and I couldn't figure out where I remembered that from, and I'm like, maybe I
Oh my
just made
God.
this up in my head, and so I had to, like, Google research, and then I finally found the page in the book.
Which we'll get to that. That is actually my last question, and I came this close to messaging you guys and saying, like, just don't look at that last question because I was like, I'm pretty sure they're related.
Well, it's funny
So
because she was asking me different questions about like, well, what would Georgie be to Frank? I'm so confused. And so we were like theorizing it out. And I got to the like nitty gritty, like, I think this is what it is. And she's like, wait, that doesn't make sense. And she's
yeah.
kept
Yeah, I was
sleuthing.
also confused. And until Jennifer said something, I don't know if she's here yet, but until she said yeah, she is. Until she said something, I was like, I think I'm the only one that is not catching that drift. But I'm so glad we were all on
Well,
the same
I
page.
was like, they're second cousins because I was going off of like the
I
vibe
know.
of my aunt. Because I'm like, okay, well, my aunt's grandchild would be my second cousin. And so,
Yeah.
yeah. So funny when you think about familial ties. Sometimes you go down this rabbit hole and you're like, it's too complicated. I'm like, I don't know what they are to me. They're just family.
All right. Well, who all is here? Again, let us know by putting a box in the comment section if you read it. Shelly's here. So glad we're all here. Is everyone safe and your family and friends are safe? So we were talking about this and I'll let them answer for themselves. In my area, we weren't as affected as everybody else, luckily, but East Tennessee did get hit pretty hard, like as a whole. So luckily we were okay. We didn't even lose power. So, but I will let them answer. How are you guys doing since this hurricane has hit?
My place is fine. We just got rain, but a lot of West Virginia was affected by windstorms in general. Where I used to live in Huntington had a lot of tornado warnings, which doesn't typically happen. So I don't know, the weather system just kind of had its way with all kinds of states.
Yeah, where I was in Beckley, which is, oh gosh, I don't know how far away from Tennessee. I want to say like maybe 7 hours. We got hit with really bad gusts, like 60 to 70-mile wind gusts, and we had trees knocked over. Specifically, what happened mostly was in my area where I was staying, because I wasn't in my hometown. I was actually staying with my mom. And so she was getting like, there were trees knocked down, power lines knocked down. There was an entire strip mall without power. Like it was, and actually in the strip mall was a grocery store. And if you think about that, all of those groceries are going bad. My cousins actually went to Walmart this morning and the line for the generators was like clear out of Walmart. And I think that everybody's like rabid about the generators because they don't want to lose their food. My family, my mom always out without power. My mom doesn't, I don't even think my mom has internet now. So it's been rough where I was. Now my actual home, I lost power too for about 6 hours. So I hope my food is okay. Let's just pray.
I think it is. I think that your mom's right. If someone opens the refrigerator, I think it's okay. At least
I'm that person that's so worried about meat going bad. And like, you know,
get it.
I throw it away like 3 days before the expiration date. Like I'm just one of those people. So I'll be eating the food and be like, is this really good? I don't know.
It's better to be safe than sorry than like throwing up and all that junk. So
true. But I was the problem. I'm why Hannah had to reschedule. So sorry.
No, we wanted you here. That's why we did that. It's because like me and Wendy could have done it together, but like we wanted everybody involved.
It's been so fun too, and I loved the book so much. So I just really wanted to talk about it as well.
Yes. So thank you so much, Shelly, for asking. Hi, Jules. I literally finished this book less than 10 minutes ago. I've read 90% of it today. Yeah, Wendy was also telling on you.
We won't talk about your thoughts. You're not allowed to answer the question.
She said not to let you in, but you came in anyway.
We weren't going to let you in.
Hi. All the foxes are rolling in. Grandma Susan's here. Hello, Stephanie. Hello, Annie. Shelly read it. Hi, Paige. Jamie read it. Jennifer's here. Hi, Katie.
Ladies.
And hello, Coletta. Happy that you're here. Did you read it? The book, because we're going to be discussing spoilers. So, okay. Let's just go ahead and dive into it, shall we?
I got my discussion questions. We're ready.
Let's go ahead and start with a pretty easy one. We won't talk spoilers just yet, but let's go ahead and talk about our general thoughts. So upon like opening the book, chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, like getting a little ways into the book, what were your general thoughts of the setting, atmosphere, all those things? So, Wendy, if you want to start us off by telling us your general thoughts.
My general thoughts is I absolutely loved the setting. Like right off the bat, I loved the setting and how it started out and the town and the people. And I felt like it was so much like Clue, and I love the game Clue. And so I just feel like I just flew through it. I remember sitting down to read it at like 8:00 at night. Everybody knows I'm a grandma, and I read 40% in that amount of time right before bed, and then finished it in the morning the next day. Like I just was really enjoying it. So
yeah.
General thoughts. That's pretty big for Wendy to stay up reading a book. That's a general thought.
Speaks volumes.
Yeah, it does. First off, I loved the shorter chapters. That made it great for me. I thought that was a great vibe. I loved the setting. I felt like the setting was really nice. I immediately felt cozy. I love the familial warmness that she's going back to. She's had a tragedy in her life, so she's going back to her ties where she feels most safe and most cozy. I liked when she was describing the different things that Cecilia made and kind of the environment of the B&B. I liked the tension between like how she keeps describing that the guests were kind of like toddlers. Like it was like very difficult to wrangle them all. I really appreciated the difficulty she had like corralling adults, because you don't think it's going to be difficult, but adults are hard. Okay.
Yes.
They're just as hard as kids, to get them focused, to get them in order, to get them not to argue. I really liked that it just shot off really quickly. And I felt like there wasn't a huge build up to like the main thing happening, the main event in the beginning, the murder. But I liked that. I liked that it was just like, I was actually really suspicious, because I was like, are they going to kill someone already? We're so early on. I was like,
I know, like chapter 2.
I know. And when it happened, I was like, whoa, they went for it. So I guess I really just liked the pace. I loved the characters. I loved also, like Wendy said, it was like Clue. I liked that there was a variety of different personalities and temperaments and even ages. It just made it really interesting. And did anyone else just keep reading, like me and Wendy said, Rachel Green, and we're like, friends?
Yes.
And you know what's funny? If you think about it, I could literally see Rachel Green's life playing out that way. She marries for wealth. She marries rich.
I should have put her as like a character.
Why did we not do that? Why did we not do that?
Obvious.
But I totally, as soon as I saw Rachel Green, I'm like, okay, so she likes Friends, already has points in my book. She didn't do that by accident.
Yes,
no, you know she didn't.
Oh, another thing I was going to say is that I really liked how there were a lot of sort of interconnected characters. And you're kind of all like, from the get-go, you're like, oh, they know each other. Oh, they know of each other. Oh, so it was cool, that too. I liked that.
I completely agree with everything that you both have said. I think it hooked me from the beginning because it was very different as far as the setting and the atmosphere. It felt very, right off the bat, cozy to me because it was introducing her and her relationship with Cecilia. That was probably my favorite part of like the first part of the book, because of how close they were. And we'll get to this like later, but I don't think that they were related. I think it was Cecilia is just a family friend of her grandmother's, of Georgie's grandmother. And so that to me spoke volumes. I love that. Like that just relationship, that close-knit relationship, so much so that she ended up giving her a job. and letting her come back and just didn't reprimand her for it, just made her feel sweet and like, just come home. Okay.
Yeah.
I loved that. And I loved the baking aspect. I loved the clue vibes. I loved the setting. So I think just everything about the very beginning just wrapped you up as soon as you started reading it. So I did like that part. So
it was fun because without spoiler yet, they mentioned wheat pennies a lot. And my daughter is actually a coin collector. And so I was listening to the audiobook and she's like, wheat pennies. Oh my gosh, they're talking about wheat pennies, which is also very colonial, which was a fun vibe. So if you're like a coin collector or someone who likes to collect antiques or heirlooms, like it was also kind of a neat aspect of the book.
Which is so funny because like I love antiques, but I've never heard of a wheat penny. I have no idea. Still have no idea.
I never had either until this book. So see, guys, I learned something in a cozy. This is why I like reading historical fiction, because I always learn stuff that I never knew before, and it's more fun to learn that way.
Oh yeah,
and imagined history book.
Oh yeah, and I was talking to somebody. I think it might have been Keisha, because she was so concerned about the historical part of it, like because she didn't want to read a textbook, if that makes sense. Because on the back it talks about all these historical places and all these historical things. And she's like, I do not want to read a textbook. And I get that. Like, if I'm going to go into a cozy mystery, I don't want to read about a bunch of history, like boring history. But I thought it was just enough where it's like, oh, that's interesting, but it's still keeping me entertained at the same time. So I do think that she did a great job of that too. So
I agree. And I feel like that reached a large audience that you could tie in cozy mystery, but also some historical facts. And it's, it's kind of like reaching a good demographic.
Oh, 100%. 100%. So
it's not Keisha.
I didn't mention this before, but my friends in the chat, you are part of this discussion too. So make sure that you are also giving us your thoughts and answers to these questions too. So, hello, Lisa. So glad you're here. And Coletta did read it. Awesome. Hi, Betsy. You're not late. We just started.
Hi.
Katie said it was easy to love everything about the story, people, and location. I agree. Even though some of the characters were like, they're frustrating sometimes.
Yeah.
We'll get to
Oscar.
We'll get to Oscar. I liked it, enjoyed the setting too, but it felt disjointed to me. I just felt that it flowed super well. Yes. Or
that maybe she meant it didn't
flow super well.
Yeah, that would be like not flow.
I do kind of get that because it did read kind of different than an average cozy mystery, which we were also talking about.
Yeah.
Hooked right from the beginning and read it in 2 sittings. It was so fast. And
that's what I love the most about it.
Yes.
Is that it's so fast.
I think that's why a lot of people enjoyed it, is because like by the time you sat down to read it, you were already halfway through.
Yeah, it's the perfect palate cleanser book. And that's really all I want in a cozy, is just to have palate cleansers, because I'm always reading really lengthy and deep books that require a lot of brain power. So like I want my cozies to just be really simple and fast.
Yes, 100% agree with that.
And about food.
Yes, there has to be a food element.
Oh yeah, by the time I finished the book, I wanted pie, and I don't even eat pie. But I was like, I'm going to go make some pie.
Yes. Jules loved the B&B. It was an okay beginning. Jules, the characters all being Mr. and Mrs. instead of their first names. I did kind of see that.
I agree. Yeah. There were some times I was a little confused with that.
I would have liked there to be actual first names.
Yeah.
Really enjoyable. Love the setting. The writing style was a bit different for me, but I can't pick out why. I think we're all in the same boat, because it wasn't bad. It was just different.
It was different. But I like that it was different.
Yeah, but like I don't even know how to describe how it was different.
I know.
I don't like. I guess it would just be like maybe it was more. I don't know. It might have been like more plot driven than character driven, maybe, because the characters.
I think it was also really simple too.
Yeah, it was very simple. I feel
it wasn't anything extra flowery.
Yeah, there was no fluff.
Yeah,
it was just straight to it.
And it was like maybe also there was less imagery than most cozies, because I feel like they describe a setting with like a lot of imagery and descriptive words. But I didn't really feel like she spent a whole lot of time talking about the B&B. Like, there it is. Whatever.
Yeah. I think a lot of cozies focus on the hobbies a lot, and they put a good bit of it in there to kind of, I feel like, cater to people who really enjoy that specific hobby, and that's something that people really enjoy in cozies. Whereas this one didn't really do that, but I like that it was different because I do think sometimes cozies can be redundant in that way. So I liked that this kind of stood out differently.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
There were also themes that were a little bit deeper, like grief representation, but also like infidelity. So
I know. And we will get to like all that deep stuff. I promise it's going to get deep in here. I'm so excited. I really liked the book. It was easy and read fast. He's having a moment over there. I also love the Clue vibes. I got hooked from the beginning with this one, and I'm going to continue on. Yay! That's so exciting. And I cracked up. I do like a body early in the book.
When she said that, that's just such a funny sentence, Jules. Like, I don't know why that's so funny to me.
I feel like that's Jules. She needs that on a plaque.
You really should make that a catchphrase, Jules.
Just like a dead body in general, because she reads all the slasher books.
If nobody dies in chapter 2, I'm out. Jules. So funny. Oh my gosh. I enjoyed it, got through it quickly. I just guessed our victim on page 3. Not sure why, but it kept changing my mind on the killer. I think
I did not, but I think it's because I didn't expect it to happen so soon.
I agree. I didn't really have an idea of anybody yet. So they killed him so quickly. I wasn't prepared.
Oh yeah. And Andrea didn't even think of friends, which I didn't until like the end. And I was like, her name's Rachel. And her last name.
How did we not?
I know. We totally should have done that.
I'm rethinking my casting.
Let me change it real quick. I like when the murder happens in the beginning of the books. Absolutely. Yes, the cozy small town fall vibes. 100%. I didn't like the fact that they referred to Mr. Peterson as Mr. Peterson. If he was such a young flirt, I feel like they should have had, his first name.
I will give you guys the names were kind of confusing.
There was a lot of Mr. and Mrs., and I did catch myself having to go back.
Yeah.
Like, wait, and at the beginning, it was kind of hard to keep them straight because there was so many in the beginning. I had to like continuously remind myself like, oh, this is who this is. So I do get that.
There were a lot of women and men. Like it was pretty even. It was still confusing somehow. But we did get first names.
What'd you say? Say that one more time.
Oh, I said we did get first names on some, Yeah. Yeah. Eliza Sue, Sarah.
Love the setting and atmosphere. Overall, I felt there wasn't enough sleuthing. And we kind of talked about like there wasn't enough of other things, but I think like the further you get into the series, maybe that'll come with that. We'll talk about Oscar. Yes, the town gave me a little bit of Stars Hollow vibes. Loved the setting. I agree. It was so cute.
I could see that.
It totally does. It's just like a Gilmore Girls cozy.
I know. With like Scooby-Doo vibes.
Like Mr. Taylor, like he would totally be one of those people.
Yeah. It's like if Suki grew up like and had a B&B when she was older that she ran alone.
I feel like we could put the entire Gilmore Girls cast in this book. We should have done that.
We really should.
We could have. We really could have.
All it was missing was a Luke's. All they had to do was put a Luke's in there and then call it done.
I don't know. Mr. Peterson could have been Luke. Good looking Luke.
Like Wendy and many of you, I love the history and thought it was so sweet. Our main character was so close to her grandma's best friend. Yes. So
I love that.
I did. I loved Oscar from the minute we met him.
Old bro kisses Peanut and calls the dog Bear.
When he was by the fence and like he like threw the cigarette back, it made me think of Home Improvement. I think it's Home Improvement. The guy that like you only see his eyes over the fence.
Oh
Yes,
my gosh, yes.
That's exactly what I thought of.
What did he call him though? What did he call him?
I don't
Like
remember.
a tar tower
But
or
I'm
something?
telling you what, I feel like she put so many shows into this book.
I know, right? I feel like
Probably
she had
did.
a plan. She knew what she was doing.
What was his insult though?
I forget.
I forget, like something like a something tower. I forget what it was. It was so
I don't
funny.
know.
I died. And I love. We'll talk about Oscar later.
I'm in a no bake cheer. Yeah, me too, girl. I love that for us. I love history and books. Age.
World War I.
World War One.
Oh, World War I.
Well, maybe I don't know.
I learned
Maybe she meant to say age 11.
age 11. We're gonna go with. I'm pretty sure she meant age 11. I learned where shrapnel came from, medieval England. Well, thank you for that fact, Katie.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I really am trying not to cover you up.
I know. Leah needs to stand a bit taller.
I'm really trying.
How about this? I'll sit on the pillow.
I was doing that to Yvette last time. I'm sorry.
I'm boosted.
I thought the title was a bit of a red herring because I thought someone would be poisoned by pie or something, but only one cherry pie was made with no murder involved. Yes, and that is like a big complaint is that there wasn't a lot of baking in this one.
Yeah.
If you
see typical food cozies, there's always the murder involved with the food. There's a poisoning of some kind. Or there's
I know, and I figured
that if you think about it, this not being like that helps because we all assume that, and then we all guess it, and we're like, oh, well, they're going to be poisoned by pie.
That is true.
I love pie, and I didn't want to defile pie with the murder.
Like, was anyone shocked at how he died? Like, and then there's like an explosion, and I'm like, what is happening?
It was so dramatic. I loved it.
It was so dramatic.
Like, the murder was kind of gruesome.
I know.
I was like, well, this is my type of cozy. Explosions.
Jules, why didn't you like it more? Because this is right up your alley.
Someone quoted me. It was just there.
It was just there.
It was.
Age 21. We were all wrong.
Thank you, like Katie. World War II.
We were all
World War I.
It was like surely it's World War I.
Oh my gosh.
We're really off for like decades.
Sorry, Katie. I mean, if we wait halfway through to get a body, I'm going to be peeved. Chapter 1 or I'm done. Jules, you're so funny.
Coming from the babysitter bloodbath book that Jules read.
Oh gosh.
Murder. She needs murder to be entertained.
And I also agree, Katie. I think that probably would have helped if I did not take notes on this one, but I feel like taking notes would have been a lot better.
You could have just like taken a note from the book and drew a picture of somebody in a little journal.
Yes. The murder almost had to take place in the haunted house. Oh, I know. I don't think I put this in there, but I also really loved the paranormal aspects because I love paranormal aspects in books, but I feel like this one was just kind of there, and it was
like barely there, so it didn't bother me at all.
Yeah, and it was more Scooby-Doo than anything. It was.
I have a question though. Speaking on the paranormal, whenever was it Frank that came first and was like, "Did this happen again?" So he implied there was a murder prior, but we never really got a tied up situation with that. We're like, it's just hanging in the air, unless it like tied up the end, but I don't remember. I don't think so.
There were so many unanswered questions in this one that I'm hoping that eventually get answered. Because I also thought that, like, what do you mean something happened before?
Yeah,
like these are reoccurring things.
So what I could only assume is that he was validating the haunting, so that like really it was that bad. But and that's why she used the situation. Maybe someone actually did research and said, "Oh, some other people died here, so it's not going to be a red flag."
Yeah. And I also thought that they were kind of older when they were referred to Mr. and Mrs. Which I mean, Clue.
Only Mr. Green.
Clue, like they were kind of older.
Mhm.
So
Our
I just read it
casting
that
will
way.
help. Our casting will clear that up.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot to choose someone for Oscar. Hold on, I'm gonna do that now.
I did. Did you see what I picked?
Yes, it's perfect.
This is gonna be hard to beat.
Truth.
I felt like the title didn't match the book. Yeah, I am kind of sad about the baking representation.
But they drew us in.
Yeah, they did. Are you going to refuse something that like has cherry pie on the front?
Never.
And I did not notice any misspellings or typos, which is crazy because
I didn't notice either.
That stuff, but
I didn't notice.
But you were using audio, Leah. You're not going to notice misspellings.
Well, I actually had to finish with audio, but I actually did start with my Kindle because it's on Kindle, and so I was trying to like read it first, but I didn't notice any typos either.
Jeannie and Grandma Susan, did you guys? I don't know if this would matter.
She said it was distracting that I didn't even notice.
No, it was distracting that her editor did such a poor job with the editing. So did you guys use the Kindle version? I don't know if this would matter, but
I used the Kindle.
I did not notice it in the
I used the Kindle version when I was reading the beginning. I only read the first couple of chapters in the Kindle.
Yeah, so let us know if you saw it in the Kindle. Wasn't Frank referring to the soldiers killed by the three sisters? Frank was referring to, I think what LeaBeth was talking about was when he said that there was another murder that had been taken place by the soldiers.
Like they made it sound like they were doing it again. Like, you know, like the soldiers were murdering somebody.
Not the actual murder of the soldiers.
Yeah, because that was the folklore.
Yeah. Yes. This was another unanswered question that we didn't ever see.
You might find out.
Jessie's here.
Hello.
Jessie. Hello.
Soldiers were killed. That was part of the history. So isn't that? No. I think I cleared that up, but it was another murder of somebody else. Like the soldiers had murdered someone else. I think that's what.
That's what was implied.
Yeah. Enjoyed the setting. I think this was mentioned, but I did have trouble figuring out who was who in the beginning of the book. Yeah. The historical story was a fun add-in to me. Yes. Yeah, I think we all struggled with how many characters were being thrown at us. Because there was quite a lot.
There were a lot of characters.
I didn't notice in the Kindle either.
So Jeannie used the printed version. I didn't notice. But then again, I read it so fast, I probably just...
Same. And I feel like I wouldn't have noticed even if it was there.
Yeah. I just read it very, very quickly.
Well, because when you're reading, you're not looking for that really, you know?
Right.
Unless you're looking for it, you're not going to notice that much. I only really see typos and arcs.
So some of us noticed it, some of us didn't. So I'm sorry to those of you who get distracted. But I did not notice it. All right. So this is a fun little question. Who is your favorite character? Why? Who is your least favorite character? And why?
Oscar. Because he's hilarious. I just like that he's grumpy. And the fact that she made him like Oscar from Sesame Street, who's grumpy. I mean, that was on purpose that he was named Oscar. And who is your least favorite character would probably be I'm trying to think. Eliza Sue. She was annoying the whole time.
Okay, so for me, I feel like I'm just going to be a repeat of Wendy. Like, okay, I loved Oscar too, but I didn't love him like as much as I probably loved Rachel. And the reason I loved Rachel is because I loved that she was just such like the typecast, like this damsel in distress, this young trophy wife that is
because that's how she is on Friends.
I just like mourning the loss of her old husband. Oh, and if it was an act, she did like amazing at it. And I just love how everybody was like, oh, she's just faking. Like a lot of people, not a lot, but there were a few that were like, And so I just felt like the dedication to her role, like if it was actually like a movie adaptation, I feel like her character would have been the hardest to portray. But I just liked her. I felt like when she came up, I was like intrigued, probably because she reminded me of Rachel on Friends, and I kept seeing that in my head.
Honestly, it took a minute for me to realize she was younger. I kept thinking she was old. And then when she was like crying to her parents, I was like, what?
Yeah.
I know. That part was a little weird.
And that
I'm like, she called her mommy and daddy, and then I'm like, oh, she must be younger.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when
she's
she saw
very
mommy and daddy come, it was weird. I also thought it was just, I don't know, like all the mystery around, like, can I spoil some of it now? Like the aspect of why they were fighting, her and Mr. Green.
Yes, we are in spoiler zone. So go
we're
right
in
ahead.
spoiler mode. So like there was a conversation overheard basically that she was pregnant with like not his baby. And I was like, oh, snap. So there's like a lot of so then it begs the question, was she faking? She probably was faking because she can get away with all the money. So I liked her character because I felt like she was the real sleuth. She was like going for the gold digging glory. I like
Yes.
Lee's favorite characters would be Sarah because she literally had no point
That's
in
true.
the whole book. Why was she there? I don't know. She was like,
She really did though. You're so valid.
she could have just been a picture on the wall. Like, we don't care about her. Yeah, Sarah just, who cares? She could have been not there and it would have been fine.
I love that. My favorite character is Cecilia because she has my dream life.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
I promise you guys are going to see me one day on a B&B.
I can
and
totally
just
see
make
that.
it all
I
day.
can see that.
That's
Yes.
what's going to happen. And there's going to be a little
But
little
with
bit short.
pancakes. Lots
Yes.
of pancakes.
There's going to be pancakes. There's going to be all sorts of desserts. And that's literally the life that I want. So that's Cecilia. She just also reminds me so much of just an older grandma that just loves everybody.
Yeah.
And my least favorite character is probably Mr. Peterson.
Yeah, same. I
This
didn't like
slime
him
ball.
either.
And he was so arrogant too. I was
Yeah.
like, dude, you have got yourself in a mess and you have this right to be arrogant? Absolutely not.
Mhm.
So I didn't like him.
I mean, which just goes to show how he can be such a womanizer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Betsy loved Oscar because she loves grumpy characters.
I have the perfect person I cast for him too.
I feel like I like grumpy characters too.
The St. Clairs were also very annoying.
Yeah.
I agree.
But I do think that she made a lot of them annoying to make it harder to guess. Because I was thinking that as I was reading, I was like, man, she did a really good job confusing me because a lot of these people are annoying.
Well, yeah. And then wasn't it too the St. Clairs like lied about how they met or something like that?
Yeah, so she really threw me off.
Yeah.
Oh, and if anybody didn't see it, there's like a character list down in the corner just in case you forgot all the characters because it's very easy to do.
I've done that often.
I'm glad you put Sarah. I forgot about her.
I did put Sarah. Leah told us her thoughts on Sarah. Mr. Peterson, the least. Cecilia. Oh, yay, Jules, look at us being the same.
I love how no one cares about Georgie. They're like, she is
Who's Georgie?
She's just married. She just named after a man. Who cares?
Oscar, he needs
Leah, you
love.
gotta sit taller.
I know. Oh, yeah, I'm sitting on a pillow, but I have horrible posture.
Better posture.
He misses his wife. He does. Mr. Peterson, I'm not crazy about smooth, flirty men. Yes, he was a trash ball.
But he was dedicated to the cheating, climbing trees.
Yes.
He was dedicated.
He knew what he was doing.
He knew exactly. He had like this route.
He had a route.
I found that just pretty. Like, if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna cheat, be good
I'm gonna climb a tree for you.
I just thought he's like disappeared into a tree.
That's the epitome of true love. I would climb a tree in the middle of the night for you.
Yeah.
Oh, agree. The St. Clairs were annoying.
I feel like their name just sat like they were made to be annoying. It was their
Yes, they were. Oscar's my favorite. Least favorite is Arthur Sue. Peanut/Bear is my favorite. I love dogs and books. Most annoying, Mr. St. Clair.
Oh, the dog was cute.
He was.
Eliza Sue was my least favorite. She was just annoying throughout. Georgie and Oscar were my favorites. Yay, we have one for Georgie. Woohoo!
Georgie makes an appearance. She only went through grief. Give her some love.
She was just kind of, there. She just kind of was our main character. I love Cecilia, all for the supportive maternal character.
Mhm.
Yes. Least liked Mr. Peterson. He was creepy. Yes, Annie. We are the same too. I love Cecilia. Yes, Jamie. She was a newlywed, so I assumed she was younger. Yeah, I didn't catch that until I think she did say her age. Like maybe she was early 20s.
Yeah. Well, they just kept saying that she was a gold digger and like a trophy wife. So I just assumed she was younger. And I don't remember the age really, but just from the way she read, she sounded young. She's like, Mommy.
Yeah, I didn't realize until her parents came. And then I was like, oh.
That part was a little weird. I didn't like Mr. Peterson. I liked Georgie. Nice, another one for Georgie. Yeah. Liked Oscar, but really the aunt's grandma's best friend, which is Cecilia. Sarah just seemed like an afterthought. She served zero purpose.
She was just a body in the building.
Y'all are out for Sarah. We'll get to that. We will talk about him, Lisa. I can't with her.
Same.
Sarah was just another name to throw us off.
And wasn't Sarah correct me if I'm wrong, I think I am.
But she didn't have a last name.
Sarah like a random bodybuilder or something?
Sarah the bodybuilder.
She was just a random bodybuilder. Like, how did she even get there? I didn't even get it.
Oh my gosh. I love Cecilia also. My favorites were Georgie and Cecilia. Least favorite was probably Sarah or Mr. Peterson. I totally fell for the red herring of Sarah. Mr. Peterson gave me the ick with the smoking. Yes. Yeah, he just was an icky person all throughout.
Yeah.
Love Cecilia and Georgie and did not like Eliza Sue. Grandma Susan, I love you. You're so sweet.
Eliza, though. It's pretty.
Dude, if you had a B&B, we would all be there reading books and eating together. That would be the best.
Let's freaking do it. Don't even tempt me. I will literally sell my house right now.
Just call it the Comfy Cozy B&B.
Okay,
and your dog has to live forever so that he can be the mascot.
Pug and Nug.
Pug and Nug. We could have a coffee shop in it and call it the Pug and Nug mugs or something.
I'm sorry, but
hopefully no one's murdered though.
No murder.
Actually, there could be a murder mystery dinner. That would be.
Oh my goodness, you could totally do the murder mystery dinner. That would be fun.
Pug and Nug could be suspects. Bring in a Sarah to throw everyone off.
Throw in the Sarah.
Sarah might be my least favorite character ever.
Loved Oscar. And is fabulous. We never hear how much she hurt when her best friend died. Being able to invite Georgie home was a blessing to both of them.
Mm-hmm.
That is so true. That is so true. Yes. And we will talk about Mr. Frank for sure.
Frank has a moment in this book that cracked me up.
Mr. Peterson reminds me why I'm 38 and still staying home. Oh my gosh.
True,
you guys are hilarious. Y'all are on one tonight. Wendy is right. You would be booked out the wazoo. We would read all the books, have cozy drinks and snacks. I love it.
I love
Make us all pancakes.
Comfy Cozy B&B. I'm there. Just let me know when it opens. Okay. No. I will let you guys know.
Let's manifest this with some merch. Let's
Comfy Cozy B&B. I need a shirt.
I need a shirt, a hat, and maybe
and then have the little quotations. What was it that Jules said?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I need a body in the beginning.
Yes. This is gold.
Oh my gosh.
This is why we have
somebody
can you imagine
make
the
that.
stares we would get what's on your shirt?
Volunteer to be Sarah.
People probably wouldn't even ask. They would just kind of side eye you. I'll volunteer to be Sarah. I don't mind being a pointless addition.
Oh,
cheating.
We're coming.
I'll be here with bells on. guys are so sweet.
Seriously.
Yay, Jennifer, I'm not 69 and still single. Who needs a man, honestly?
Yeah, can I do the historical tours? I want to be hired.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
Wendy would be so good at that. I'll do the murder mystery dinner. I can do the theater.
You would definitely be good at that.
I'll play all the parts.
Do it.
This is me playing Sarah.
Do it.
Wait, this is me playing Sarah.
She did disappear a lot.
She really did. She was
She
sketchy.
disappeared.
And that's why she wanted you to think it was Sarah. So much better than dealing with Mr. Peterson. I agree. Absolutely, Shelley. You can be like anything you want to be. Yes. You can join too, Jennifer.
Yes.
She's a history buff.
Ooh.
Okay.
We're making plans here.
Let's talk about Oscar.
Stupid.
Whoever wants to
Oscar.
There's so much to say.
Which we kind of have talked about him like a little bit.
We have.
Why do you think his character is the way that he is? And do you think that we will get, because we did kind of get a character arc and some character development with Oscar. So what do you think is in store for Oscar? Why do you think
Also, should we show who we cast him as?
No, we'll do that at the end, I think.
At the end.
First of all, he reminds me of the Home Improvement Show. And I love that he has a dog that he still is like sweet to, even though he's grumpy to like everyone else. I don't know. Maybe Georgie will bring him out of his shell.
Yes, I can kind of see that.
I feel like
walking his dog every day.
Oscar has a shirt that says "Those meddling kids." That's exactly that's his entire personality. It's like, get off my lawn, those meddling kids. He reminded me of somebody who's just has such. I feel like people who have such big personalities, when they do get hurt or when they're going through grief or loss, they become big personalities in a negative way. And so I feel like that's kind of what happened to him. Like his big personality kind of turned into like a big grumpy personality. I think he's sweet to his core because obviously we know that Cecilia likes him and there's got to be a reason. So I feel like he picks and chooses who he gives his sweetness to, kind of based on how they treat him. You can see him warming up to Georgie when she asks, like, I'll take the dog for a walk and whatever. And he's very also distrusting because he's like, oh, yeah, you'll take her for a walk. But then he starts to believe her. So I feel like he's just your typical person that has up all these layers of walls, and he's had a lot of hurt, but he's a good person. So that's why you like him. He has flair and charm behind his mask of get off my lawn.
Yeah, I like the fact that Cecilia automatically says he's a really sweet person, but we didn't really get to see that. So I think that his character will show that more later.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to comment because I feel like it kind of just displays what I think. So one is from Coletta. I predict Oscar and Cecilia because I completely do, because she automatically thought of him. And when she was baking that pie, she was like, go take in this pie as I'm sorry for what happened. And so that seems like it's not been the first time. And then Grandma Susan's. He's definitely thawing out. I think that what LeaBeth was saying about the grief, grief can do so many different things to people, especially because he lost his spouse. And, a lot of us haven't ever gone through that. And so we don't know how that's going to affect us. And I think that he's just lashing out because he's angry at the situation and angry at everybody else because they're able to move on with their life, and he's kind of stuck, and I feel like he's got his bearings up where he's not ready to trust again. And so when he's like, yeah, sure you are, you're not going to take her for a walk, and then he kind of is like, well we'll see. And just seeing that little bit of hope is just so sweet. And it's going that's one of the main reasons I'm going to continue the series, is because I want to see what happens with Oscar.
Someone said that it reminds them of a man called Ove. I haven't read that book, but I could see that from what I've heard.
I could see that too.
Also the movie Up.
Yes.
The movie Up.
Yes.
That old man, as well as
Oh my gosh, that's such a great
the storied
novel.
life of AJ Fickery. Reminds me of that too.
Yes. Oh, I didn't even think about Up, but it does remind me of Up. I can see him definitely developing in that way. Oh, and yes, Jules, you can absolutely work with us. Love how we're all asking you, employed by this fictional B&B. Let's make it happen.
We can make this a board game.
I mean, can you imagine we would stock that B&B with the best books ever?
Yes, people wouldn't know what hit them. Like, I don't think this world's ready for a comfy, cozy B&B.
We really aren't. And we need to have like a person playing Oscar over the hedges.
Yeah. Or like let's get a real Oscar.
Yeah. Also, who's just by their hedges often? And also, can I just get a pie for any minor inconvenience in my life? Like
right?
Minor. Like it's a cigarette butt. Like it's fine, but I want a pie.
Which makes me believe there's something a little bit extra there.
She wanted a reason. She just wanted a reason.
But then why didn't Cecilia bring the pie?
She's shy. That's her flirting.
And it might be like ancient history. They might have had history in the past.
Or I had a thought. Maybe Cecilia wanted Georgie to see into her future if she didn't deal with her grief. That's a thought I had too, because I think that maybe she gave her some backstory. I don't remember. Maybe it's not in there and it's just implied. But maybe she specifically made Georgie take it so that she could see like what it could be like, and then also that they have that common thread that they've both lost.
So good. That is
maybe
good.
It's like the position of both characters. Like this is what if you are maladjusted, and this is if you're dealing with it properly.
There was a lot of grief in this book in different ways.
It was so subtle.
Yes. Which is another thing we'll talk about because it's about to get real deep. But that was good. He's just lonely. I think he'll become her sleuth partner. Oh my gosh.
That would be so fun.
That's the best sidekick.
If he started trying to figure out clues.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? That
would be so much fun.
Home Improvement is such a good representation. He totally reminds me of what is his name?
I should have picked that guy.
Why did we not think of these when we were putting this together?
But when they see the one I picked.
Oh yeah.
What's the neighbor on Home Improvement? I need to know.
I don't know. You can put that as your Oscar.
I know all of his loved ones live only in pictures. That got me. That got me.
Yeah.
He's definitely going out, Susan. I'm with Wendy. I predict that Georgie breaks through Oscar's shell and makes him nicer.
Everyone's like, Wilson. After
I know. I think they will. I really think they will. Mr. Wilson from Dennis and the Menace. Not Dennis the Menace. I loved Mr. Wilson.
Everybody's like, I know what it is. You should know, people.
I'm Mr. Wilson.
Hello. Got a problem. Oh my gosh. Oh, you're really covered up now. I'm sorry.
Stop writing so much, Jamie.
It's just the big comments. I'm sorry. Oscar reminded me of my boss. He's a grump until you get to know him and that he is the sweetest man. And then he's the sweetest man. He's 95. Been working for him for 19 years now. He's more like my grandpa.
But let's be honest, okay? If I was old, I'd be grumpy. Like, I mean,
there's a lot to be grumpy about.
Yeah.
Okay, I've clipped my hedges as a 30-something-year-old. It's hard work. If he worked on those hedges as an old man, I'd be grumpy too if someone was messing with my hedges in my yard. I'd be mad. It takes a lot
Probably
to
took
do.
him hours.
I know. Yard maintenance isn't easy, people.
Mr. Wilson. So his name was Wilson?
Yeah, Mr. Wilson. I think from the Home Improvement show, they were all telling us what it was.
Wilson.
His name, and I looked it up, and then I said,
I'm
Wilson.
sorry, people.
Wilson, did you get that? I live in an assisted living, and there are a lot of Oscars here. Most of them eventually thaw. Susan, that is so sweet.
And I
I'm
bet that you are the one that's the friend to all of them.
yes, I'm sure that you are the Georgie in their situations most of the time. I'm sure.
Well,
I
like,
could definitely see
everybody
that.
on BookTube knows Grandma Susan. Like,
You love
everyone.
grandma. She's everybody's grandma.
She is. It's true.
She is.
Oh, I bet
She's our Cecilia.
You are Susan.
Grandma Susan, you're our Cecilia.
You
True.
are.
You really are.
Georgie and Oscar will connect more since G has a similar experience with her fiance. Oh, George. What?
Yeah.
Who's G?
Derek. She's
Georgie.
Derek. I got you. Yeah, that's kind of what LeaBeth was saying. I really like that. I never thought of that, but I really like that.
I just thought of it like right on because I was like, oh, he's suffering. You can tell.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to skip question 4 because we kind of talked about that one. We're going to do question 5. Who did you suspect? Which we kind of talked about this one.
I actually didn't know. I didn't guess. I didn't try to guess.
Yeah. Who did you suspect, Leah?
I mean, I know I keep saying that she didn't have a big role, but I was sus about Sarah for a while because she disappeared a lot.
Yeah.
So she was like the unassuming, like pin it on her because she doesn't have a main role type person. Yeah. But I did really think that it might have been somewhat Rachel. I did think, I was like, maybe she worked with someone. I thought she was maybe working with someone to cause, like she knew about everything. She knew about his treasure. I was like, maybe it's Rachel. But I didn't like Wendy. I don't think I really had I jokingly wrote Wendy and I'm like, it's Aunt Cecilia, because I was trying to choose like the most unassuming person ever because that's how books are. I told Wendy, I said, well, Rachel is too obvious. So I don't know if I really super suspected anybody, but possibly Sarah, but I didn't know much about her. So that didn't last long. So let's just go with
She did a great job of making them all look suspicious.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I kept going back and forth between all
what is it when like so many things become one big thing, like an Anamorpheus type, like this one person type, we've suspected all of them.
Yeah.
I do think that to me, it wasn't blatantly obvious. I knew it was one of them, but I really had no idea. I did suspect Rachel though. Like I really did think that they were going to end up, because she was grieving and she was and like we'll talk about grief representation in just a minute, but like I was like, please let that be real. Because I really did think that whole talk was really good. And so I was like, she's going to make it to where it was actually
Rachel, Mr. Peterson, they were just too obvious people to have done it. I was like, it can't be them. So, and then I thought maybe it was the lady who stayed in the colonial building that gave the tour. I was like, maybe she's trying to.
No,
I could see that.
I was like, maybe she needs to stay in business, so she needs to perpetuate the folklore by really murdering somebody so that it's still famous to visit. I wasn't sure.
And maybe she thought like, oh, people are going to assume it's her, and so she basically like almost killed her off. Like the author almost killed the curator off. So I was like, okay, that it can't be her then.
Right.
Susan, we love you. We love you so much.
Yes.
So CeeCee said Sarah. No idea. I kept going back and forth between all of them.
All did.
I didn't try to guess, but I did think Sarah was sus too. She did keep disappearing. Sarah or Mr. Peterson. Eliza Sue. So Jennifer actually guessed it.
She was around with that bag too much.
The wife in the St. Clair's. Yeah. Sarah was at the top of my list. I was completely surprised, but understood it after we learned this backstory. I knew it was Eliza Sue from the get-go.
Really? How?
That is crazy.
Oh, that's so nice.
You're so sweet. I didn't really try to guess, although Sarah was acting suspicious. Oh, we love you, Susan. You're so sweet. Honestly, I was thinking that the break in the night before was going to be someone who hid in the place overnight to kill Mr. Green. In which case it could be someone random.
Right.
Yeah. I could never guess the killer.
Yeah, I don't try to guess ever.
Me either.
I just like to just go with the story, so I never really try.
It taints my enjoyment. If
Yeah.
I guess it, I'm mad.
Yeah.
I do that
It
to
just
myself.
doesn't make it enjoyable because you have your instant gratification.
Yeah,
Yep.
so if I guess it, it has to be not great because I don't try to guess it. So I will tell you the only book I have ever guessed who did it was Final Girls.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my
Yes. And I was like, wow,
That's
that's
pretty
never
impressive,
happened. And I
though.
wasn't even trying.
That is a hard twist.
That's
to figure out.
impressive too, but there are with that there were some, if you ever
I felt it was
you
obvious.
read it, there were odd bits about the person that you're
Yeah.
like, "Eh, it's not really quite right. Something's not
Yeah.
right."
So civiliza Sue most of the time, especially after she got caught going through their room and asking if she was going to send their. That is true. I didn't really catch on to that, but yes.
I just thought she was I don't know, someone stealing something. Like she was.
Yeah,
she
I
was
did
trying to
think her
get
giving
through.
the door code was weird.
The door code. The door code was the thing I was like, maybe.
Yeah.
But
That was weird.
Sarah was too obvious from the get-go when she noticed not seeing where she was when the murder happened. Yeah, I agree.
Sarah was just there to be a red herring.
She was a fly on the
To
wall.
throw us off.
Didn't matter.
Maybe she
I
did
did
serve a purpose.
Sarah was the squirrel.
Yep. Yes. I just don't like doing that. I don't try, and I don't mind when I do guess, as long as I enjoy the ride. I wish I was like that. I'm so mad if I guess it. I casually guess murders in Agatha Christie books all the time. I am never right.
I just hate when I guess. I don't hate when I guess cozies, but I have guessed like fantasies, and I've been really upset about it. Like I guessed Spark of the Everflame, and I was like, ruined it.
And that's a long book. If you guess it after that long.
She does guess stuff in fantasy a lot, like ACOTAR. I don't know. I didn't see any of that coming. And I was like, what are you doing over there?
You guys should write fantasy books. I can predict them so well.
Okay. Let's talk about the heavy stuff. Let's talk about grief.
I have a quote, and I have to get it out before I forget it. But when she specifically says, when Eliza Sue is pointing the gun and she says, my life, usually your life flashes before your eyes, but I kept thinking about how I lived a life shackled to my grief without facing it head on so that I could live a life like unhindered by it. And I was like, and for me, someone who's gone through kind of recent grief, that really spoke to me because it's true. You know, you really can fall into it and it's like a just downward cycle, or you can rise above it, and you really have to choose. So I feel like that. I actually feel like her being confronted with death was a catalyst for overcoming grief. So yeah, like death.
That's good.
Facing death made her accept death in the past with her fiance, and so I do feel like all of us need those moments that if we're dealing with something heavy, kind of like a shake to life kind of situation. Like, are you going to fall or are you going to get up and move on? So I do think that was, if anything, I do feel like Eliza Sue needed to happen for her to kind of get on with things. So that part of like most of them really spoke to me. Also her trouble, I think it was like her nightmares and trouble with sleeping and taking medicine for it. Like I also relate to that because I had a lot of nightmares, and it's true. Like if you don't face grief head on, you're like, okay, if I don't face it, it won't consume me, but it actually does consume you more when you don't face it because your subconscious has to face it alone. So it becomes part of your like everything, imagination, your sleep patterns, your everything, like your relationship tactics, like all of it.
Yes, 100%. That is so good. Yeah, and I think that goes back to what you were saying about Oscar. I think the author did that on purpose because there is some unfinished things that Georgie has.
And I never saw that until you guys mentioned it. So it's almost like she was trying to do that full circle thing. and showing like the different stages of grief in all three of the characters, Cecilia. And so I think that's interesting, but also she doesn't do it so heavy that it becomes not a light, cozy read. But it still had some deeper themes. So I just thought that was really cool that she did that. And I also think that's why she was so understanding and more compassionate to Rachel, because she, could recognize the signs of like what it's like.
Yes.
And even Rachel, new grief, like you said, all the different.
Yeah, she showed every stage of it.
Yeah. And Rachel, even if she wasn't maybe being faithful, you still, even when you think death isn't going to affect you, it still does. Even if you're not as invested as you could have been in the relationship. So like Wendy said, I really love that she did show every single stage of it. And if you notice, often in cozies, there's grief representation quite often.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I also love that about cozies, because they kind of give you these like building blocks of how to deal with things, but in a subtle, entertaining, fun way that you don't realize. It kind of therapy.
I will say I liked how Rachel and Georgie handled like the murder, specifically because one of my biggest beefs with cozies is that they don't seem really upset. Like none of the characters act like someone was just murdered. They're all like, "Oh my gosh, someone died." And I'm like, "I don't even believe that you're sad." Like and this one I felt like it was much more realistic. Like I really felt like the characters were better written than a lot of cozies I've read.
More realistic.
Yeah, because they just never seem like, I know they're supposed to be like cheesy and whatever, but like this still had that, but also didn't seem so fake.
Well, you're right, because in A Dark and Stormy Murder, which was probably my first cozy by
don't spoil just in case.
Yeah, there's an aspect where, well, the whole thing is that you're trying to find this guy's wife, and he's not super forlorn about it. He's not really that upset. So I do feel like there are, like Wendy's saying, cozies usually don't have like a full spectrum of emotions, and I do feel like cozy did kind of have.
Yeah, like even with her nightmares and stuff, like typically in a cozy, like they're not even going to show them having any grief. Like they're just going to be like immediately like, well, this happened,
100%. Yes. And I initially came up with this question because I read this quote, and I'm going to read it to you, and it was about Rachel. And I don't think that the grief representation was solely on Rachel. I think the grief representation came from Georgie. But I really liked this quote that was about Rachel, and it said, "There was nothing any of us could say, no matter how badly we wanted to fix this, that would bring any measure of relief. I joined them, and we stood there holding Rachel up as grief tore through her body like waves against a reef." And that hit me like a ton of bricks, because like when I was initially going through this grief journey, like I wanted somebody to, people mean well, they really do. Like, "I'm so sorry about your loss. Like, I'm so sorry about this," or "I'm going to be praying for you." And like at the time, I just remember being like, "Just stop talking." Like, it like nothing that you could possibly say could help me right now.
Or like when they're like, "Aren't you glad they're in heaven?"
And again, it's like we all do it. It's just part of, because there really is truly nothing that we could do to bring comfort to that person because they're hurting. And so I thought that part was so good, because it was like, finally, somebody said it. Like, words cannot put a bandage on what grief truly is. And I think somebody has just needed to say that for a long time. But as far as like the grief with Georgie, I really loved how, like, no matter where we were in the book, she would say Derek. Like, it would just pop up every once in a while. And I thought that was so realistic, because any of us who experience grief on the daily know that it's not always like breaking down in tears it's like going through the grocery store and seeing a box of cereal, or like going through the perfume aisle and smelling a certain smell, or, things like that, where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
my loved one. Oh, my loved one. And I loved that. I loved that so much, where it was like, oh, Derek.
Yeah.
Oh, Derek. And I was like,
It,
that
it,
felt
it,
so real.
yeah,
to me.
it makes it less shameful too, because I feel like people feel shame with grief because they feel
Mhm.
alienated and they feel like people are judging their process. Like, aren't you over that by now? It's been 2 years. So I feel like the representation of like it constantly coming up, like you said, is also just like, it doesn't have to be shameful. It's just normal. Like
Right.
it's a normal thing I was in the line at McDonald's and smelled a fillet of fish, and my dad used to get them, and it made me cry. It's
Yep.
normal to be like that. And it doesn't
And
it
have
also
just
the
pops
fact
up.
that they showed different ways of grieving. So, like, the fact that grief is not one represents all. Everybody experiences it differently. So, like, Oscar is grumpy, and Cecilia is like loving and more encouraging and more understanding of everyone. And Georgie is fresh in it and having nightmares. And then
Yep.
Rachel is like, having a hard time. So, like, each of them are dealing with it differently.
Yeah, that's a really good. It's like hostility, empathy, repression, and like the struggle to probably accept, because it's like all of them. You're
And
so
some
right.
of them like are different stages. So like it may just not be how they handle it. It may just be they're on a different stage with grief wherever, like what he was saying, Oscar is kind of older in his grief and he's handling it this way and he's in this stage. So I really did like the grief representation in this book, and I do think that the grief representation was a huge reason. Like if a book has grief representation, I'm probably going to end up loving it. Just point blank. So, all right, everybody else, tell us what your thoughts about grief representation in this book.
Comments are insane. They're so good.
I didn't even think about, this was from before because I'm always wrong. It was just an accident, but the key is maybe guessing who, but not why. Forgotten that Georgia gave allows to see the door codes. When she mentioned that, I was like, Frank? Surely not. Yeah. Oh, the door code bothered me. However, I was shocked when it bit Georgie in the patootie. And then here's where we started talking
That's
about
when she read the quote, I think.
the grief. Yes. And this is actually another question that we'll talk about what we think happened to Derek. That is so good, LeaBeth. Agree 100%. Yes. After reading it, I just kind of felt meh. But now that you're all talking about this, I'm liking it more and more. Yeah, I think it also helps to do these discussions too. And that's why I wanted both of you, because it really does help to have all these different perspectives. Because like you've brought to light and you've brought stuff to light that maybe, some of us didn't. So
yeah.
It really spoke to me as well. You're right. You do have to choose how you grieve and how you permit it to shape your life. You do need to face grief head on and allow your heart and mind. Yes, absolutely. It did kind of feel that way, that she was so afraid to face it. So that's why she came home. And one of you said that at the beginning, where she came home where she felt safe and comfortable and the place that she knew that she was going to be okay.
You can't really heal anywhere else. You have to feel like all your other needs are met before you can heal.
Oh, so Shelley is a widow. She loved the grief representation here. It was done well, and it did not take away from the coziness at all.
I love that. I love that it could go deep, but it was still a cozy.
Yes. And when they can pull off both, I feel like overall that's a good book. I feel like the way that she portrayed grief was true to life without going over the top. Agreed. I'm so glad we all thought the same thing.
I agree. You want it to not almost like make you feel grieved, but you want it to pop up and be like, oh, that's, wow.
Well, because there are books that are deep to go deep, but cozies are not normally meant to be like that.
Right.
Exactly. you need to work through the process and not have a timeline, expectations. Yes.
That's true.
If more people would understand that. To sum it up, you don't want your grief to permanently define you. Yes, it can be a part of you, but letting it control your life is completely different than just walking with it. Don't you be knocking on my cosie's face. Most cozies portray the victim as an unlikable character. Agreed. I do think that is kind of why there's not a lot of grief representation in cozies, because it's usually somebody that people didn't like to begin with. But I do love a good grief representation. Yes, that was such a good part with Rachel. The biggest comfort for me when my mom passed away was a friend to just sit with me and hold my hand. Words can be so inadequate. Yes. I remember telling my husband, and like I don't want you guys to think I'm a terrible person, but I really did go through this time where I was like everybody's just talking, and I just needed something else, like something besides words, and words just don't do it. They don't. And that's all we can give is when you're on the other side of it and you're like wanting to comfort someone, that's all you're able to give. But when you're on the other side,
I read a book once and the quote was like talking about how to help people deal with grief. And I think if I remember, it was like helping someone with grief isn't about the presentation, it's about the presence. So meaning like there's something you could say, there's something you could give, there's something you could really do other than be present with them in it. And that usually is almost like a silent participant, but you're still there sharing the moment with them.
Yes. I lost 5 members of my family. Mom died last. I was numb for at least 12 months. And I think that like that is so valid. Like that is okay for you to feel that way. And I think everybody around you should be totally all right with that. Like Katie's going through it right now. So hopefully people were like that for you, Katie.
That's interesting that you mentioned 12 months because someone actually told me, I mean, there's no timeline, I swear, but she was like, it will take you 6 months before you can feel normal again at minimum. And I was like, wow. Like, and she wasn't wrong. I think about that marker for me. It's different for everyone. But for me, I got out of the heavy, dark grief and just moved on into the acceptance phase. It's still going, but it definitely.
I do think that I hate the quote, time heals all wounds, but in reality, it does. It reminds me of like a scar, like it does heal, but you can definitely still see it, but it's healed. And it's not as dark and deep but in
that too, people, scars won't be as bad if you actually participate in the process of healing by applying the proper medicine, applying the proper care. I feel like people don't understand how much work grief is to overcome. People just think they're going to get out of it, but it actually, just like any bad habit or just like any bad thing, it's like work to get out of. I found that was the most difficult thing for me, is that I literally had to discipline myself to deal with it because I wanted to escape, like Georgie. I wanted to escape every day mentally from it without working on it spiritually and emotionally. It's hard.
That is so good. That is so good. So true. Just be there. Be okay with crying. Cry with them. Be a shoulder, be a rock they can throw themselves against and not feel shame for crying in front of someone. Absolutely. Just be there. That's all. I always feel that way when I go to a funeral. No matter what I say right now, it won't comfort. A hug, a touch, silence, eye contact. I try now whenever I go to a funeral, I say very minimal. But I think the last funeral that I went to, I hugged the person and said, like, you are totally valid in everything that you're feeling right now. Like, it's okay just to let yourself cry for a minute. And I think that's so different than what everybody else is saying. Like, so sorry. And again, we're always so sorry. And we mean well, we really do. But I just think we need to handle those situations with a lot of care.
All I say at funerals is I hug them and I say, I know.
That's good.
That's all I say. because that's usually I've found that I've done that I think 2 times or 3 times now because I've gone to several, and they immediately start crying because they just want someone to know what it's like.
Yeah. And there's power in that. There really is. Much more than like, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about you. Like that speaks on different levels. Absolutely agree. I just experienced heavy grief for the first time in my life this year when my mother-in-law passed away. I love that representation in this story so much. Sending so much love to you, my friend.
Truly.
The characters were at all different phases in their grief. Yes. I love that because I always felt guilty for not being able to display my grief by crying, but my grief is there whenever I see the things that bring them to mind. Yes. And a lot of times I zone out, not crying. Yeah, and it looks different for everybody. Like, not everybody's going to cry their eyes out. And I think as humans, we have this idea of what we think grief should be, and then we put it in a box.
Yeah.
My youngest brother died 8 months ago. 8 months before my mom, motorcycle accident. My grief for the two of them manifested very differently. Oh, Katie sending you so much love too. But this is so good, y'all. Sometimes we just need to talk about it.
Right? And I think that too, we all think grief is loud. We're like someone screaming and crying and wailing, but grief is a silent killer. It is a silent killer. If we don't
Y'all didn't know you were coming to therapy tonight.
I know. It's true.
Now,
Really,
I wish we had the comfy, cozy B&B and we could all serve up a piece of pie after our talk.
A meat pie.
Let's go bake a pie now.
And eat our feelings.
I want to eat my feelings.
I've been looking at this background you have up here this whole time, and I just want a piece of pie.
Same. I act like I haven't had 2 bags of nerd ropes today. I have.
CeeCee has a memoir about her real life grief. I think she's talking about the author.
Really?
Her name is CeeCee James.
Oh, well, see, that explains why she's good at it. And I will say there was someone, Ashley Poston's book. What is it called? The 7-Year Slip.
7-Year Slip did me in.
Let me tell you, it was heavy in parts, but her author's note, if anybody reads that book, you have to read the end because she actually experienced what happened in that book after writing it, I think. I think it was right after writing it, she experienced this exact thing that she wrote about.
Oh my God.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh.
I read that when it was too raw for me to read it. I should probably try to read it again. I gave it a 3-star because I was like,
I loved it.
And CeeCee, you're gonna have to let us know what it's called so we can kind of look into that. Oh, bye, Jules. Thanks for coming. Bye. Yes, Katie, we're sending so much love for you. Oh, good. You had that good companionship. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. And I'm just now getting over the worst of it. It is such a process. So as LeaBeth said, we know, honey. We are here if you ever need us. Katie. To me, time didn't heal, but it did change. That's a good way to say it. It changes it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Susan. My friend taught me to rub someone's back, hold their hand, give a hug, much better than words. Yes. And I wish, again, we all mean well, but I think we should just all think about that. And I don't really think you think about it until you go through true grief yourself.
Oh, yeah. Because, not a lot of people know what to do, And
oh, yeah.
Not everyone has lost someone. So it can't, before I lost my dad, I struggled with how to handle it too.
Mm-hmm. My dad passed away 15 months ago yesterday, and I still have moments where a song or a smell or just hearing someone say something like him, and I'm in tears. Yes, ma'am. But I think that is so beautiful because one of the things that has helped me is I heard somebody say this, and it has changed my perspective, is that grief is just love that has nowhere to go. Mm-hmm. And so it's trapped in there, and so it's
good way to put it.
Gotta go somewhere. And so usually it comes out, and because you can't go express it to that person. And so you express it through tears or getting angry. And it really did change the game for me.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah. Yes. Giving permission. Yes.
We can Yeah, we can be so hard on ourselves and not give ourselves permission
Absolutely.
to do a lot. It's really sad how hard we are on ourselves versus other people.
Absolutely. Ghost No More. That's what it's called. Thank you, CeeCee. Grief is not always loud. I found a bit of honey candy on my cruise a couple weeks ago, and while I didn't cry in the moment, it immediately took me back to my grandpa. Oh, you guys are going to make me cry. I can't do it.
I was going to say, this is getting so real.
We are talking about a cozy mystery, and we're crying.
I think that reminds me of Jules' video on the woman. She said something like she smelled the letter, and it smelled like her grandpa, and she instantly cried.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure she said her grandpa has been gone for a very, very long time.
Yeah, but she said that smell like instantly.
Yep. And he was a father figure to her.
Yep. My dad passed away suddenly 3 years ago, the day after my parents' 31st anniversary on our front porch. My mom and I were, oh, honey, I'm so sorry. Ugh. Sending so much love to you, too. Okay, my friends, I know that was a very heavy conversation, but I feel like it was necessary. I really do. I think that it was good to just talk about that. Because there's power in knowing that there are other people that feel the same things that you do. But let's talk about something happy and uplifting. There are many baking elements throughout this book. What is your favorite pie or dessert? And it doesn't have to be like a homemade thing. Just what is your favorite dessert or pie? So,
my favorite dessert is cookies or cheesecake.
Oh, I knew that.
Like Wendy is just the cookie monster. It's
yes.
True. She said it. She said at Christmas, just find me cookies. I don't want gifts, just cookies.
I literally did. Our worship team was doing gifts, and I said, I don't want a gift. Just give me cookies.
So give Wendy the gift of a cookie this Christmas. For me,
so the next book is Cookies and Scream. I'm so excited.
I am going to continue. I actually might do that now because I feel like I got just a taste of this book and I really liked it. I gave it a great rating, and so I'm just excited to move on. My favorite desserts. Oh man. Okay. I actually love cherry pie. I love cherry pie.
Really?
That's awesome. Funny story, I don't like cherries by themselves, but I like cherry pie. And I love cheesecake is my second favorite, but it has to be cherry on top. It cannot be strawberry. And I actually have a fun nostalgic story. So a long time ago, we lived in Ohio, and there was a buffet. It was called Christopher's, if anyone remembers this, in Mansfield, Ohio. Anyway, they had cherry pie all the time, and they also had cheesecake with cherries on top. And I got that all the time as a kid, and so that's probably where my obsession began.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That is so sweet.
I eat it and I go back to those times of being young, and it's so nostalgic for me, and I love it so much.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. And it's so funny because my favorite is also cherry cheesecake. And like I love cheesecake by itself, but it's cherry cheesecake. And I mentioned this like on my post for Comfy Cozy, but my mom used to make it all the time. It was my favorite dessert. And when I made it for the cozy task, I called her and I was like, Mom, I made the cherry cheesecake. And she was like, oh, that's awesome. Like if only we can figure out how to make it with real cream cheese now. And I was like, what did you say? And she said, like, I've never really made it with real cream cheese. I just made it out of a box. And like my entire childhood was a lie. I was like, excuse me, you made my favorite dessert out of a box? And she's like, really? I said, I did use real cream cheese. What are you talking about? And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And she literally like screenshotted the box and showed me the box. And I was like,
that's so funny. That's like when somebody posted on Reddit how their whole life there was a cookie recipe passed down, and it ended up being the one on the back of the Nestle bag.
Right?
And they were that like, was on Friends. On Friends, remember when Phoebe was like, my grandma's cookies, I don't know what the recipe is.
Yes.
What is it? And then she finds the chocolate chip bag and she's like, is this it?
Yes. I read it on Reddit in this like subgroup called something nostalgia, and it was like about how Yes, it happened in Friends too. It's so funny because I think when we're young, we think everything's homemade, and it shocks us. Actually, I was just staying with my aunt. We talked about this. My mom, she made everything from scratch. So when my mom said it's close to dinner, I'm thinking, okay, 2 to 3 hours from now will be dinner. But then my aunt would say, oh, dinner will be soon, and it would be like in 30 minutes because she made everything probably from a box.
They were just tired. They're tired adults just like we are. And I was like, yeah, she made she probably went and got the cream cheese and made herself. And I was like, what do you mean you made it from a box?
You're like, man,
I was so
what do you mean?
Oh my, I literally almost died. She's like, if only we could figure out how to make it out of real cream cheese. I'm like,
as opposed to what, Mom? I wish I could have been a fly on the wall when you actually had that comment.
It was not good.
Like,
rude. Okay, tell us your favorite desserts, my friend, or your favorite pie.
Oh, now I need a dessert, man.
Cobbler.
I want a treat.
Me too. I might just hold, please. I'm gonna go get a Debbie cake. Oh my God.
Pie or anything chocolate peanut butter. Oh, I love me a good chocolate peanut butter dessert.
Oh my goodness. So there is a baking place here, and my favorite pie they make is chocolate peanut butter. It's amazing.
Oh, that sounds so good right now.
Because I love Reese's. That's another thing is I love peanut butter and chocolate together.
Mm-hmm. My favorite pie is pecan. My favorite dessert is Texas.
I do love pecan.
I do love me some Texas cheesecake too. My favorite dessert is ice cream. There's so many choices. I love that, Grandma Susan. Cheesecake brownies. That sounds so good.
Oh, sounds so good.
Pound cake. I'm sorry. But can you hear my pug coughing up a lung?
I thought I kept hearing heavy breathing, and I was like, what is that?
His allergies are acting up, and he's literally coughing up a lung. So if I have to use,
I just kept hearing that, and I'm like, what is that?
Heavy breathing is me. I ate at Texas Roadhouse, and I had 95 rolls. This is the best.
Oh
yes, that's my childhood right there.
My aunt had a welcome box for me, and these were part of it.
Oh, that's so sweet. Chocolate ice cream. You're gonna get so much cookie mail now.
Do it.
All the cookies.
Oreos are my favorite.
Or just send her all the cookie-related cozy books or books.
Yes.
Well, that is true.
I want to read that cookie cozy still. The yellow one. I think it's Joanne Fluke.
Oh, yeah.
Cookie something murder.
Cheesecake or donuts. I do like me a good donuts. And I'm sorry, Paige, but this cozy task probably wasn't for you.
I don't like cherries, but I made it work. I had raspberry pie, and it was amazing.
That works. That's beautiful.
And it was out of a box.
That's fine. Obviously, it's fine. My mom could do it. Anybody can do it. Hand pies are my favorite, especially lemon, but I love lemon or pumpkin pie. And my husband's favorite is cherry. My go-to is ice cream, but I think it's actually changing between cookies or cheesecake. We all love some cheesecake over here.
Yes, Cheesecake Factory. Let me tell you.
I don't like ice cream that much.
Cheesecake Factory is so good. It's just so expensive.
It is. It's good.
So good, though. I know. I was so upset, Betsy. I was so upset. I love lemon sugar cookies, lemon bars, chocolate, New York style cheesecake.
But let me tell you something, okay? Leah goes to the Cheesecake Factory and gets a plain old piece of vanilla cheesecake.
You stop that right now. Are you
That
serious?
is what she picks out of that whole place. It is just
you psychopath.
It was like vanilla cheese, vanilla.
I'm like, you could go to Walmart and get that.
I brought Wendy back with Oreo, and I got a plain one. And even my husband was like, "Are you sure you don't want to try it out?" I'm like, "No."
You gotta pick something that you can't get at home,
especially if you're going to pay $12 for it.
Yeah, you pay $12 for a plain old piece of cheese.
I think I might have just been paralyzed by the amount of options, and I just went with what I know. But later, when I went back I think it was like the caramel, some type of caramel cheesecake or something. What did we get, Wendy, in Pittsburgh?
I don't remember.
Like
but I had tiramisu. That was good.
Oh, yeah. But
me and Wendy, we went to the
fun.
Cheesecake Factory and we shot ourselves in the foot because we didn't prepare enough time for how long we wanted to be there. So we got to go back.
Yes.
We had to take our cheesecake to go, and then later it wasn't as good.
Oh my gosh.
Hi, Tiffany.
Hello, Tiffany. I'm sorry, I had to mute again because he's like over there.
Her dog.
No. You're just like,
hello, Tiffany. I love peach pie.
I don't think I've ever had peach pie, but I love peaches. That is my favorite fruit.
I've never even tried a peach.
I know that's what? You've never had a peach?
No, I don't. I just think it weirds me out that they have hair. You know, like
so do strawberries.
Just take the skin off.
No, I've seen people eat it like an apple. I'm like,
ew, I've never done that. Peach. It's disgusting. Kiwis, peaches, strawberries, a lot of things have hair.
Yeah, kiwis have hair too. Oh my gosh. It really grosses me out.
Just go get a can of peaches and eat them.
Peaches in a can. Peaches with cottage cheese. I know it sounds weird, but that's good. Peaches with cottage cheese. Try it.
Okay. I love peaches.
Tiffany, I don't know if you know this, but we're discussing Cherry Pie or Die, and I'm assuming since you've read all the cozies that you might have read this one. So if you want to join in on the discussion, you totally can.
Do it.
Reese's peanut butter cups is my favorite.
But I have to have the holiday ones.
Oh,
they are so much better.
Are out right now.
Yes, they're so much better than the regular ones.
It's true. The holiday ones are actually sweet. The non-holiday ones are not sweet. The peanut butter itself. Yeah, the peanut butter itself, the one it's just salty, but the holiday.
I think it's because the holiday ones are fresh.
And they're just made with love. It's the holiday.
I could have gone my whole life without putting that together.
I'm telling you, I think the regular Reese's, I think they don't taste as good because they've been sitting around.
Listen, me and my best friend Megan, she had a whole pile of holiday ones and a whole pile of non, and we taste tested each one, and we found this to be true. It's not a theory; the hypothesis proved it.
Wow. You guys just changed my whole life tonight.
Stockpile in the holiday ones. Wendy's right.
Okay. Dutch apple cinnamon cookies. I don't have one, but we're about to go find one because that sounds delightful.
Yes, it does.
Katie, is there a reason you're asking that?
It sounds like an apple dumpling type situation.
Mm-hmm. But it has to be Italian, not New York.
What makes it Italian?
No more Cheesecake Factory for you, ma'am. You, man.
I know, I'm set. I love how I love cheesecake and it's a favorite dessert, but I don't branch out in it often. Like I feel like cheesecake. Okay, cheesecake is good on its own. It doesn't need anything else. Cheesecake with cherries. That's it. Don't give me chocolate with it. Don't give me caramel. I don't want Oreos. I want cheesecake.
But they have fruit ones there, and you didn't even try those.
They got everything. Everything you could possibly want on a cheesecake.
That specific day, they didn't have a cherry one. And so I had to go with the second best, which was plain.
And then Katie following up. Plain cheesecake.
No.
Plain cheesecake or cherry. If it's not that,
Wrong.
It's not
wrong. My brother loves anything chocolate, so I made him a chocolate cake from scratch with M&Ms, and he drops the whole thing. Oh, no.
I'm never making another one.
Clearly, you sent it to the wrong person. It was supposed to be me and Wendy and Hannah.
Paige, write that down. Send them one next time.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That sounds so good.
How do we say this? Because I've never had that chocolate.
Godiva?
Godiva, I think.
Godiva. Chocolate.
It's bougie chocolate.
At Cheesecake Factory.
I like all the bougie chocolates.
So has anyone ever watched Pollyanna in the comments or in this group? Top tier dessert moment are the ladies on Pollyanna who make the cakes for the fair. Top tier. I'll give you a picture.
Oh, so Tiffany's coming at you with a recommendation. It's about a cookie bouquet shop. The cookie shop series. You gotta get on that.
There we go.
I don't know what the first book is called, but this is by Deborah Seinfelder. Thank you, Tiffany.
Yeah.
My favorite from Cheesecake Factory is the Hershey cheesecake. Oh, y'all want cheesecake so bad. And the Oreo cheesecake.
Really?
Oh.
Everybody does want it so bad.
Godiva salted caramel ice cream. Oh my gosh. Apricot pie.
Is it How the Murder Crumbles? Cookie Shop Mystery number 1.
Does it have like a cookie bouquet on it? Because I think I've seen it. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's the one. I think there's only one book out, she said. Lisa. How can you handle the hair on it though? I just can't. I just cannot.
You just have to peel it off.
Just get yourself a can of peaches so that you can at least say you've tried it.
Yes.
Although I will say those are a lot, like they're really soft because they've been sitting in syrup for a long time.
They're kind of
okay. Katie's always like giving us facts. So she said the regular Reese cups are made without gluten. The holiday ones have gluten.
Really?
Well, that's why they're better.
That's probably why they're better.
Now we know
they have better stuff. They have bad stuff for you in them.
They're worse for you, but they're probably better.
That's really intriguing. I did not know that. Makes
Thank
sense,
you,
though.
Katie. She just knows everything. She really does.
I feel like she does. It's impressive.
There's also a triple chocolate cake recipe from Paula Deen. Ma'am, you better be sharing that in the Discord.
I'm going to be eating a dessert as soon as I get off here.
It's so late, though. I want one so bad, but I'm like...
I don't care.
I made a bad choice. I mean, I shouldn't have had it. It went straight to my hips.
I have some leftover raspberry pie, and I'm totally going to heat it up.
Yes.
What's a raspberry? I just don't know.
It's raspberries and blackberries.
And he's getting a cheesecake tonight. Good for you, Annie.
Here's the part that I was talking about. There is a cake like baking competition thing, and there's like all these
delicious.
They're so amazing, and it shows like them making it. Like, and here's like how big they are. The pieces are the giant. Top tier dessert.
Seen Pollyanna, but it's been a while, so I might have to look that up because that looks delicious. In Fall and Cheesecake Factory, they have a pumpkin cheesecake, and the bottom is pecan pie.
Okay, I can get behind pecan pie. That is.
I do love
heat it up. Heat it up, though. Do not eat it. Not heat it up. That's just wrong against God.
What did you say? Heat up cheesecake?
Heat up pecan pie.
Heat up the pecan.
People eat it straight from the store, and they are wrong. Heat up.
I eat it straight from the store.
Eat it up. It's like a religious experience if you heat up.
But you ate a piece of plain cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory.
Your credibility.
I don't want to hear it.
My reputation has been sullied, but
you don't have any credibility to talk on the matter. I'm sorry.
I really don't. I'm definitely a basic girl. I mean, when it comes to Halloween candy, I am like liking Tootsie Rolls, or I'm trying to think of Sweet Tarts. Just the basic candy. So I'm basic in all ways to dessert, but pecan pie is better heated up. Everyone agrees.
It's so gross, Lisa. I love that for you, but
part of the peach.
Yeah. I don't
hair
know.
in general, hair in food is a phobia of mine.
I have that. Too fuzzy. Oh, okay. So she has a friend who must be gluten free. He told me, so I got the rye candy for Christmas. That's nice. Yes. If you can, post it in there.
We've all talked all of you into eating some sweet.
Annie's getting something. Annie, you got to let us know what you end up getting. Okay. So really quick, let's talk about, what do you think happened to Derek?
I have no guesses. I was going to say maybe a car accident. I don't know.
Well, she said, she was following behind him, and didn't he go off the side of a cliff?
I thought maybe it was a car wreck in my memory, but like maybe I'm wrong. I
just know that she saw, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, that she saw what happened from behind him. Like she was in a car behind him. And it made it sound like he lost control of the vehicle.
Yeah, and it almost felt like she had something to do with it. Like,
Oh, I didn't
almost
even
like
remember that.
if maybe she was distracting him, or it almost gave that feel of,
Was she in the
like
car?
mm,
I thought she was behind the car for like in a car behind him. I don't remember.
I don't really remember. I do think it involved a car,
I
though.
don't remember that
I
stuff.
feel like she said that she watched from behind when something happened. And so
Yeah,
I
I do
assumed
think it happened in a vehicle of some sorts. But Jennifer says that she might think that it was a heart attack. But yeah, I just wanted to see if you guys caught on any clues that maybe we didn't. I think she did see what happened. She was behind, but was he maybe on a motorcycle?
oh,
That's a good idea. That might be it.
I just can't remember what was said about it. I always thought it was that she followed. Okay, sorry, I found it. It doesn't go into much detail, but that he died in a car accident that she saw from afar. That's what this is
Okay.
saying.
Katie said Derek's story is a pickle. He didn't hit his brakes, and the cop said it was suicide. So yeah, I don't think any of us really know what happened.
Oh, I did not
Yeah.
catch that part.
I'm sure they'll say more in the next one.
But yeah, I figured they would say something in
I did not
the
realize
next
that they had ever thought it was a suicide.
and Annie disagrees with you. With always being more to eat. Pecan pie.
Good.
Next time I'm gonna attempt to make a strawberry rhubarb pie. Ooh, that sounds good.
Mm.
Grandma Susan. It's
No
not
one
peach.
wants to move on. They just want to talk about the pie.
It's peach fuzz.
It's peach fuzz. Get it together.
So gross, but I do eat. I
Defend
never
the
eat
peach
the
and its
dirt.
fuzziness.
What bothers me is someone saying that the skin was the best part of the peach. Are you sure you want to stick with that story?
My favorite peach is white peaches. They are superior to regular peaches.
I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Yes, and they have to be for somewhere where it's fresh, like a farmer's market, not the store, because those are nasty. Like they don't even taste the same.
Oh.
Interesting.
Okay, this question. Okay, because I immediately thought, I was like, okay, Georgie and Frank are related. Because
See, I never thought that. And so when you guys brought that up, I immediately was freaking out. Because in my mind, knew that they weren't, but I couldn't remember why I knew that. And then when you guys brought it up, I really went into research about this.
Oh man, I panicked and I was like, Wendy and LeaBeth are going to think I'm so stupid because they're related. And here I am being like, how did you like the tension between Georgie and Frank?
I wondered at first, to be fair, I always had this underlying idea that they were related, but I also had a more strong idea that they had some type of like requited love or something, maybe, or at least he did. When she talks about him like touching her like on her shoulder and then she starts crying, like just that little scene, it felt like very awkward. I feel like there could have been tension because there might have been well, obviously she described that they had rivalries. They grew up together because remember he sees the painting in her house and it reminds her of when they were children. But also, why did she paint that scene specifically unless she had really fond memories of him that she wanted to relive because they played there as a child? So maybe when he saw that picture, it like stirred some excitement in him or something. I don't know.
Oh, yes.
Well, just a disclaimer. Okay. For anyone who thinks they're related, they are not. I found the actual page in the book that says that she is like an aunt. She is not actually her aunt. And that she was best friends with her grandma and she was always like an aunt.
And I'm so glad you found that because I literally could not remember.
Because that would have really bothered me and I would have been annoyed. So I'm glad that we clarified that.
Yeah. Because I really did think at first that they were related. And I was like,
well, it kind of just made their whole relationship seem icky and weird.
Yeah.
Like, why is this such a reoccurring thing? But I don't know. I feel like Frank has his own story because obviously there's some fondness there, but I feel like there's been more not like bad memories, maybe overriding the good. So maybe they had some type of like, we're going to find in the next book a run in to maybe where he declared his feelings and she didn't accept it or something along those lines. We don't have enough information.
Yeah. I mean, I do like how it was done because I feel like she was still grieving her husband. And I do feel like it was done well in the fact they had some little moments, but he really didn't push himself on her at all. And he was very kind of hands off, except where there were a few moments he could tell she was, having a hard time and he was comforting her. And I really respected that. And it not just jumping straight into like him being like,
Yes.
Maybe they're going to be like enemies to lovers.
I do think there's that like childhood aspect that's like, okay, they fought as children and then they kind of went their separate ways and then maybe I only felt the tension like towards the end during the last scene when he rescued her from the killer, which we'll get to in just a second.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's something there.
Well, there was a line mentioned, something about Frank's awkward expression, something about like they verbalized a weird moment, either a look in his eye or something, didn't they, at the very end about Frank? There was something that was mentioned about Frank that was like giving you a little peek into maybe something.
I do think that there's something gonna come from it.
There's like an Easter egg.
Yeah. And also it's always the cop.
I love that though.
I love that protector.
Yes. Like this big bag detective is like gonna rescue you every single time.
But I love it too when they present the character as really rough around the edges and kind of unromantic and unemotional, because that makes it so much juicier when the layers start to fall and like start to open up and all. So yeah.
Yes. Okay, so how did we feel about Georgie and Frank, my friends? Sorry about all the chaos.
I'm just like, what is happening over there?
But I'll be sad if it's not true. I'll be sad if nothing ever happens. I'll be sad.
Oh, for sure something will happen.
I don't know. Katie's comment made me doubt.
Oh, hold on. My husband is like shooing them like a bunch of.
He's like, oh.
You guys didn't know I was going live or anything.
So funny.
The dogs are the real show.
So Jeannie thinks that she said she was behind him and it didn't look like he hit the brakes. I'm thinking someone cut his brakes so he couldn't stop. There's definitely a story there for sure. Shelly had to hop off. I'll watch her in a rerun. I didn't know what happened to Derek. I want Frank and G to be together. Bye, Shelly.
Bye.
I was so confused. Thought they were related. I thought Cecilia was her grandmother's sister. Same. And I started to panic.
You're like, is this one of those books?
What if Derek was murdered and Jordy had to solve the murder? Maybe.
Or maybe
Frank
knows something about it. Maybe he knows, because he's a cop, maybe he knows more info than Georgie does about it. Maybe that's why there's tension, because he's like, I can't tell her, but I want to.
Maybe. I think Georgie and Frank fought as kids, but I think they'll turn into a romance. Lots of tension between Georgie and Frank was a great setup for future books. I like that idea of them together. Yes, but I think there was a little hints to some romance that may happen later.
I mean, it was just so subtle it almost didn't exist, but it was.
I know, and I wanted to get your guys' opinion on it because
it was almost annoyingly not there.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's going to be friends to lovers and light enemies to lovers. I think he did have a crush on Georgie, and like most young boys, he aggravated her. I like that, Katie. Not currently sold on Georgie and Frank yet. I think I need to read more of the series. Yeah, I agree. I do think he was kind of like hard to get into it at the beginning.
One of Katie's comments is really cutthroat down there. I'm laughing so hard.
I think they spent a lot of time together. Yeah, as kids. Childhood frenemies. I think he always loved her and she moved away with Derek and Rope. Oh,
maybe.
Oh, you're reading book 2. Katie, you're always like moving on. I love that.
I am like definitely reading it next month.
That's so exciting. You're going to have to let us know how you like it. because I don't think I'll go right into the next one, but you're going to have to let us know, Katie and Wendy. Oh, she said you start to get more info about their friendship. So that's good.
That's what I thought. I was like, maybe it's not because it's like more info about their friendship.
Okay, but listen to this because this is funny. This is how it starts out explaining that Georgie, the tour guide, has always encouraged her clients to enjoy the realism of an American Revolutionary War reenactment. But today things got a little too real. And I'm just dying because I'm like, oh, like that's a good idea. Let's reenact the war with these crazy people.
Oh my gosh. Gotta love a man in uniform, and he's also a good guy. Yes, ma'am. I think one of the things I loved about this book is the fact that Frank is willing to work with Georgie on the clues she is finding. Yeah, usually the detective is like,
yeah,
don't be doing this. And he's
well,
like,
he's mad at her too because she withholds like really good information that she's like, I didn't think that was relevant. He's like, God, woman, tell us everything.
Katie.
That's the cutthroat comment. I just think that just killed me.
Oh, throwing Frank under the bus.
Frank.
All the okay, I kind of get this. But Stephanie, don't be hating on my friend Grady Hayes, okay? We love Grady Hayes over here. But I get that. I do. He gets very annoyed at her. Katie, I'm definitely reading the next. Now I have even more incentive. Oh, that's awesome.
I really want to find out too. I'm going to read the next one too.
I know. I really want to know.
I really love when men don't give in so easily to women and they like almost like I just love when there's like a really slow burn sometimes.
I love slow burns.
Depending on the temperament, I really like it.
But I don't want it to be too slow.
Yeah.
But I love slow burn.
Yeah. I just like it whenever like it's someone you think nobody could be with, but everybody has their person. And then when you find out like, oh, there's someone great underneath this mask of like, I'm a workaholic cop.
We've got one more discussion question, and that isn't really a discussion question, but who wants to spoil the book for us? Who done it? So, Wendy or LeaBeth, will you tell us who done it?
I can tell you.
Go ahead.
It's Eliza Sue.
And the one I didn't like the whole time.
Don't see it coming. But what's interesting is you find out that she has been working for Mr. Green for over 10 years, and he confides in her a family secret about a book that has clues that go back way to the Three Maidens, and that his family somehow has a treasure connected with the maidens in the manor. And so Eliza Sue does some sleuthing to kind of find out where this treasure would be hidden, and she gathers that it's in the manor that Mr. Green's family, they had tried to cut off all connection to the Three Maidens because they didn't want to be associated with it anymore. So Mr. Green, I think, was like not on the right path. And maybe Eliza Sue was the one who really discovered things. And she kind of overtakes the plan because Mr. Green starts a plan in place to kind of go and seek out the treasure. But Eliza Sue makes it more interesting. And she says, like, she researches the manor, and then she researched that, oh, this B&B gives tours of different things, you know? So she's like, okay. And this is one of the spots they go to is the Three Maidens Manor. So she said that the plan kind of created itself. So then she's just, you know, going through, and Mr. Green knows he's going to get fraudulent audits. And I think for a while they kind of act like maybe they're working together, but then she double crosses him, and she surprisingly stabs him, right? She stabs him, and she practiced, I think, stabbing for a while, she said, or something, but she ends up killing him so she can, you know, have the glory. And she uses the wheat pennies as kind of just like an interesting aspect.
Bringing in some national treasure.
I forget why she said it, but it was just like just a unique thing that she had done. So Eliza Sue ended up being our killer, which we kind of all gathered when she found the book, cracked the code, found the book. And then of course the book itself had a rhyme in it, or an old, like, I don't know what you would even say, like a riddle, an old riddle from like almost like a childhood riddle that helped Eliza Sue put everything together. But yeah, she was the one, and she's actually kind of really bad at killing people, because I believe when she actually confronts Georgie, she just seems really emotionally charged and haphazard in the whole way she kind of comes with down on her. And they, she has a gun, and then Georgie does this, and she flips the gun, and they're wrestling over it. And so the ending was actually pretty climactic. It was good. And in the end, I think it's like Georgie calls Frank, and she had already called Frank the night before because she figured it out. Georgie figured it out without Frank, put all the clues together, and it pointed to Eliza Sue. So it was interesting. And so then the last scene happens to where I think it's like Eliza Sue shoots out the phone, right? She's calling Frank and she shoots at the phone. Yep. And then Frank ends up just being there as soon as,
like, there was some action in this cozy.
There really was some action. Like there was a struggle. Like there was a real struggle, like a power struggle. And Eliza Sue, I don't think that she expected Georgie to fight back, which was the interesting part. And I do think that the coolest part is when the button, right? She tries to lead everybody to believe that, was it Mr. Peterson or someone who lost the button? And Eliza, she was like, "I'll mend it for you."
Yeah. Wasn't it the tour guide person? I thought they were the one that lost the button.
I thought it was Mr. Peterson because she's like,
yeah, it was Mr. Peterson lost the button, and Eliza Sue planted that thought in our mind that, okay, well, the button, Mr. Peterson, the button was left at the crime scene. There are different things. Like she tried to like cover the tracks, and she did a pretty good job. It's all for money. It's always for money. So
great job, Leah.
Do we know where the treasure was found?
It was the whole story.
The jewels were found in the candelabra, which is so clueless.
Which is crazy. I loved how dramatic the ending was. I really did.
Me too.
I was here for it the entire ride. I was like, this is crazy. Really good. How it all linked together. And then the treasure thing, I was like,
the treasure effect was what I think that's why people felt like it was disjointed, because it was a cozy, but then it was a treasure hunt. And like, it was like vibe.
I get how people might think it's like over the top. Which
I was here for the chaos.
It was chaotic.
It just had like so many elements. Airbnb, colonial Pennsylvania, treasure, like everything, like modern day colonial. Yeah, it was a lot of.
And then there's pie.
And then there is pie.
And there's like ghosts and hauntings and murder. Just so much going on. It was great.
I thought it all worked, but I really loved how dramatic the ending was. And I didn't see Eliza Sue as being the killer, but I really did
I didn't either.
I didn't think she was capable, but she had
I didn't either. I honestly thought she was older. Like I thought she was older.
I did too.
And then I was like, no, she's really not.
What was her age again? Was it? It wasn't 20s, was it?
I think they were all like in their 30s or 40s.
Okay, yeah, I think Eliza Sue was young. She was much younger. Do you think that she was about the same age as Rachel Green, and maybe that was also where the hostility came from?
I feel like Rachel Green was the youngest, and then the rest of them were like 30s and 40s, and just middle-aged adults. And I think Cecilia was probably the oldest character, and Oscar, of course.
Yeah,
that's how I read it. But I initially read Eliza Sue as older. So I was like, she's definitely not older if she's like giving Georgie a fight for her money. So, but how did you guys feel about the whodunit? Let's see.
I honestly, I was disappointed. I almost wish there was even more. I don't know. I thought it was building up so much to be a crime of passion, like something to do with like killing for like love, killing for money. And when it was treasure, I was like, yeah. So it's just, I guess it just built up, and I just took it built up to one path, and I didn't take that path. I took a different path. So
I thought the treasure made it fun. I liked that.
Yeah. It seemed a very brutal murder for treasure. But then again, like, money makes people do crazy things. But I thought it was also very passionate.
Well, because it's kind of always like the passion, like in the cozies. You know what I mean? So
she kind of went that way.
Yeah, I like that it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
She kind of wanted you to feel like, it was a love interest, or it was an affair, or blah blah blah. So I did kind of like how she didn't do that.
I have to recast someone because I think that they passed away.
Oh, that's okay. Wendy used somebody that was not alive anymore.
Oh, yeah. The person I submitted is not alive.
Okay, we'll just pretend that they were. It's back in the day.
So Katie said that the books were on sale on Kindle. Are they all 99 cents, Katie? Anyone
I just am reading on KU.
Yeah, they are all on Kindle Unlimited. Anyone find it strange that everyone's family tree? How could I don't remember this part.
I think Katie answered below.
All those people are proud of. Oh, is she referring to like how everybody's connected?
Yeah, everybody was in some way connected, I think, to the maidens in some way.
Okay, I see that. It also wouldn't have been found that fast given how far the generations are.
Wait, sorry. Just Mr. Green and Eliza, I think, were the only two that were connected because it was like their family rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, wasn't one of her ancestors also one of the ones murdered by the Green family? Eliza Sue's? Yes. Wasn't she related to one of the soldiers? No.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I feel like, Eliza Sue she was related to the soldiers and Mr. Green was related to the maidens. And she almost thought it was like a family, like, I'm going to get revenge.
Yeah.
For my ancestors.
Comment has me laughing.
She was passionate about the treasure. I mean, she was. Money will make people do things.
I'm changing my typecast. Okay, I'm changing my character for Eliza Sue.
Okay. We don't have time for that, Leah.
No, I do. I have time right now.
I think every family has published pedigrees. Pogue 2 has a man who owns a gun awarded to his ancestor by George Washington.
I love this.
Oh my gosh.
I love it. Like they all have different history and I'm so excited.
I love that.
I have found the cozies that I enjoy. It took a while.
They were slightly more than that. So Katie bought them for $3.99 or $2.99.
The physical copy or the Kindle copy? Like
I think she's talking about Kindle.
Okay, because I was gonna say that's very cheap for.
Oh yeah, and even the physical copy wasn't that bad. It was revenge, she said, for a soldier being murdered. Yeah, and I think Mr. Green was related to the three sisters. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go into screencasting. So if you were here for my last book discussion, I had Keisha and Yvette screencast from the Secret Book and Scone Society. So I thought, in comfy cozy fashion, let's do screencasting again. So let's go ahead and take this down.
I think this is fun.
And Leah changed some of hers.
So, I did last minute. I'm sorry.
See, that's why I was saying because Hannah had this set up already.
Okay, don't worry. You don't have to change it back. I'll give you who I changed my mind about. I actually just added one, but I changed my mind about one person. I'll just tell you at the end.
That's okay. So we're going to start with mine. Oh shoot. Okay. So I think because I recently watched You've Got Mail, I put Georgie as Meg Ryan because I can only see like all female leads as Meg Ryan now. And then Danny DeVito for Oscar because I just feel like he would fit that. And then Cecilia, Betty White. I thought she was just everybody's grandma. And then Eliza Sue, the very sassy Jennifer Lawrence.
I love that casting. That's perfect. Yeah. Cecilia's quite older than I imagined her to be in your casting, but it works.
Yes. Poor Betty is just like she's a little older in this picture, but I could definitely see her being like the grandma type.
I could definitely see Meg Ryan as Georgie though, like 100%.
I know with the short brown. I really just saw her with short blonde hair. I just did. I don't know if it said that or not, but okay. Now we're going to get into Wendy's. Wendy, do you want to explain yours?
So I see Cecilia as a little bit younger, and I think that Helen Mirren would fit. I feel like I don't know. Like that's just how I saw it. But Oscar, literally immediately I thought of him because he is always grouchy in everything he plays in, and he is so funny.
He was really funny. Yeah.
And I feel like Lisa Kudrow just has to be in this cozy because she's funny. And so I think she would be a really funny Eliza Sue.
And how did you think of Lisa, but not Rachel
I
Green?
know. I was kind of like,
I
not
don't
my
know.
Lisa as the killer.
Maybe I thought that was too on the nose. I don't know.
You just wanted Eliza Sue to be more interesting.
I was trying to be more creative. But I wish I would have thought of the Home Improvement Show.
I know, right?
But Oscar has to be Jerry. Just has to be.
Oh, 100%. That was a really good one.
That's actually a really good one. I agree.
All right, ma'am. Miss Overachiever here. She did a couple. Go ahead, Leah.
I don't know. I just kept seeing Georgie in my mind as Emma Stone literally the entire time I read the book. Because I just feel like she just has that embodiment of like,
that was the perfect Georgie.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely feel like that fits.
Any emotion. I've always thought that Mary Steenburgen, who was in Elf as the mom, I've always just felt like she just seems like an aunt. She doesn't seem like a mom or grandma aunt, you know? And so then I saw Mr. Peterson as just this like, you know, really good, egotistical, like I look good and everyone knows it. Henry Cavill, because I mean, what woman isn't going after Henry Cavill? And then
when I was putting this together, it hurt my heart to put Henry Cavill.
I know. Everyone loves him so much, but if you just look at him, he just looks like he's smoking, and he's just like everybody wants me, you know. Like I totally get it.
Just looks like he's
smoking. Like, and then of course Mrs. Green. I immediately, my entire time reading, I thought of Margaret Robbie. I just was like, or Margot, is it Margaret?
Mm-hmm. Margot.
Margot. I just thought of her because I just feel like she's great for like dramatic roles. And when I came to Eliza Sue, I was trying to think of somebody who could be like really just quirky and unassuming. And I thought of Drew Barrymore, but I since have changed it. What's her name? I forget. Selma Blair, who's in Legally Blonde. As we keep talking, I could see her being Eliza Sue because she's like you know what I mean? Like she just seems like an unassuming, like I don't need a man, I'm out for blood kind of person. Yeah, but anyway, those were my casting thoughts whenever I think Drew Barrymore was a little bit reaching, but everyone else fits the bill pretty well. And then I had a few more that I added just as notable mentions. I could see Oscar being like a younger Clint Eastwood. Let me get a better picture. Okay, so I had a better picture that I saved of him. Like imagine a younger Clint Eastwood as a really grumpy Oscar.
Okay, I kind of see it.
Yeah,
I don't see that one.
So that's like another thing I was just thinking. So those are the two. I think I said I had more, but I just had those
two. I love it. It did hurt my heart also to put Drew Barrymore as the killer. Like
I know, I love her. She is everything. She's so great.
I love her so much.
Thanks.
So those are our castings, everyone. Hopefully you liked our castings. Tiffany liked your Jerry Stiller. I also really liked Jerry Stiller.
He fits that like personality really perfectly.
He's probably the best Oscar.
And I feel like your Georgie is the perfect.
Meg Ryan just does it. She just fits all of them, like all the female roles. Yeah. I just think she could do it.
Meg Ryan is just every great lead female character. And Mrs. Green, that's a good Mrs. Green.
I do think that Margot Robbie would be a good Mrs. Green. I did see that once you put that on there. Let's see.
Henry Cavill, just keep it on him.
Oh, it hurt my heart so bad. I was like, not him, not Henry. Tom Hanks as Oscar.
I could see that now. Maybe I feel like Tom Hanks mostly seems grumpy in most of his roles.
Oh yeah, especially like older Tom Hanks.
Especially Polar Express. I'm just like, why is he such a grumpy conductor?
Jack Nicholson would be a good Oscar. Yes.
Or
still would be a great Oscar.
Yes. Or him.
Oh, he's perfect Oscar.
Okay, so like up totally. I see him.
100%. Yes. And Katie made a good point. They were KU, but I knew I want to reread them, so I bought the series. That may be why these books were less expensive. Usually get a good price on Kate purchases. Henry Cavill as Mr. Peterson is just as bad as me loving peach skin. Yes, Lisa, yes.
I was trying to think of a smooth operator type guy. You know, like pick you up with one line or less, you know, like
Oh, it's so
pick you up with an A. You had me at hello.
Oh gosh.
Glenn Powell is Grady Hayes.
Glenn Powell? Who's that? Why can't I think of who that is?
I don't know who that is either.
Oh.
But if I saw a picture, I might. I don't remember names of people a lot.
He's the guy in Twister.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Let me see. I can't see.
Yes.
I would be okay with that.
Wait.
He is Grady Hayes. Guys, he's the guy who played in Twister.
He better be. If anyone ever watching this, please cast him as Grady Hayes.
Oh,
yes.
He is Grady Hayes. He's also in Top Gun Maverick, which is a freaking great movie.
Oh, Top Gun was so good. Oh, so good. Also, Miles Teller in Top Gun.
Oh, I know. Tom Middleton, also a great pick. Tom Middleton.
I can see that.
He played Loki.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's a great. Isn't it Tom Huddleston? Tom Huddleston.
Oh, I don't know.
I think that's Tom Huddleston.
I thought Tom Middleton. I don't know. I'm not really good with names.
I was gonna say I know everyone's name. This is Tom Huddleston.
So who is Tom Middleton?
I don't know. Let's look.
Tom Middleton.
I also thought what you thought.
And Glenn Close.
Tom Middleton is a British musician. I don't know.
Oh, I do not know who that is.
I don't know who that is.
I'm sorry, Jeannie. Oh, she was talking about Loki.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because Tom Middleton is a British guy who sings.
I can see why you got those mixed up though, because it sounds very similar.
So I just sent you or showed you that picture, and it was a bald guy, and it made me think today, which is so funny. My daughter Addie, she loves bald guys. She literally is 8, and she has a type, and her type is any guy that's bald with a beard. This is now 4 people that she has a crush on that are bald with a beard. And I was like, of all of the people, I just thought it was so funny. Me and my brother-in-law, we laughed about that so hard today because every person she named, I'm like, bald.
Oh my gosh. Peter Boyle for Oscar. I love you guys are casting him too.
Peter Boyle. I don't know who that is either.
Also, so I told my co-host that this was completely
I didn't do it.
optional, which is totally fine. But I did have time to do it, and I'm going to show you.
I'm not good at art.
There's my recover. I thought it was
cute. I honestly just forgot.
It's okay. I didn't think I was going to do it, but I put the little candlestick with Peanut in the corner.
That's actually really cute. I could make one. Too late now.
And look at Mr. Green's legs down at the bottom.
I imagined, okay, so I can describe my cover. I imagined at the end, a cherry pie, but a gun embedded in the middle.
Oh, that's juicy. That's
cherry pie or die. And I was like, oh, that sounds good. Just a simple cover. That's it.
Thanks. At my age, my type was skinny, ginger, with braces.
Right? I just think it's hilarious that she's going for all of the men who are middle aged.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh shoot. Hold on. Okay. Let's talk final ratings. And you can also answer this. Will you be continuing in the series? Which some of us have already talked about. So tell us your final rating. And tell us if you will be continuing the series. Okay. Who wants to go first?
4 stars. And I definitely will be continuing.
Yay!
Mm-hmm. I also gave it 4 stars, and I will be continuing. I gave it 4 stars because I felt like it was different, it was fresh, it was fast-paced, and I just felt like I got a lot out of it entertainment level-wise.
Yes. Yeah. I also gave it 4 stars.
Woo! We're all right!
And I also will be continuing in the series. I just think they're really good palate cleansers.
I will be continuing.
If I ever need that. If I ever just need a really short, fun, entertaining book, like I'll just pick up one of these. Because it really took me no time at all to read this book. Yeah. And I really think that's why a lot of people enjoyed it, because it was just fast and it was fun.
So. Yeah, it really was fun. It was a fun cozy.
It was just such a perfect book for me to read after like all the millions of books I was reading this month. Like, it was such a great palate cleanser.
And I do think like that's good to keep in mind for future months. That's like this series is quick, easy, and fun.
Yeah.
I think pretty much everybody gave it 4 stars.
Tammy's not here, but she said she gave it 4 as well.
Oh, good. So I don't think it was a 5 for anybody. It wasn't like over the top, but it was just a fun time.
Yeah.
So 4 stars.
I think too, not making it a 5 probably also has to do with the fact that the title is Miss Where Did She Go?
She gone.
Hannah, come back.
She'll come back in a minute. I agree with you though. Like there she is.
Like, oh no, now what?
Shoot, the whole thing fell apart.
We're like, we're on our own and we don't know what to do.
I'm sorry. Like I pushed my mouth and I was like, oh,
I was just saying that I think it not being 5 has a lot to do with the title being misleading, and just that there wasn't a lot of pie.
Yeah. I do agree with that. I would have liked more baking for sure. Sorry, I like yeeted out here. I was panicking. I was like, oh no.
That was so
funny. 3 stars, I might continue, but I'm not in a hurry. Love that. 4 stars will continue. 4 stars, but I don't have KU at the moment, so it might be a bit understandable. Oh, Glenn Close was Corella DeVille. Oh, that would be great, Cecilia.
I thought she was, I don't know why I read Glenn Close and I thought of Meryl Streep.
Oh, she would also,
she would also be a good typecast for that.
Yeah. Betsy gave it 4 stars. Plan to read the whole series. Awesome.
Lots of 4s.
I know lots.
Already reading the second book. Might be changing my rating to 4.5. Awesome.
Right. I feel like the discussion did help you see it from different perspectives.
Yeah. And I think that's important why we also have these discussions. It's like,
I'm glad that we all loved it, because it makes it so fun being hosts of books that you love.
Yes. I feel like it does make it way more fun. It would be weird if it was like imbalanced and everybody was like, oh, we don't like it that much.
I do also think though that like that really does a really good discussion, because like I didn't like it because of this, and like most of the time they're valid. So.
Right. Yeah.
I'm really glad that you changed the pick to this.
I agree.
Okay. Yeah. Everybody that's here, this was not supposed to be our book.
I don't think it would have ended well.
I don't either.
I think this is a way better outcome than what it could have been.
Everybody that's here, it wasn't supposed to be Cherry Pie or Die. I had the cherry theme anyway, but we were originally going to read Tom Lake by Ann Patchett, and I started looking deeper into that book, and Wendy and LeaBeth started looking deeper into it. And we're like,
Which is funny because my mother-in-law read it and I think that she liked it. I think.
Yeah.
I don't love literary, so that had me worried.
Yeah. Yes, you did have Wendy shaking in her boots. She was not.
I'm sorry.
She was like, no, I watched me hate it.
There was some content things that I was worried about, and then we were like, let's just change it to a cute little cherry cozy.
Yeah, it's really like this just made us. It's just a feel good book. It's such a
and I'm glad we decided to do this one instead.
Same.
Jeannie gave it 3.5. 3 may continue. 4 already purchased the whole series. I love that, Stephanie.
There we go.
I do think I might continue. 3 stars. Thanks, Susan. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Grandma Susan's wanting more spoilers.
I promise we'll get there, Susan.
She's always trying to get some out of you.
Thanks to everyone. Oh, all the comments added to my enjoyment. Yes. And that's like what this is about. Like, you guys are definitely part of the discussion too.
Yeah.
Hi, Cassie. It's okay. Take your time. Cassie's had a rough road the past couple of weeks.
Aww.
Any idea what the next book is? Yes, ma'am.
Give us a hint.
Oh, I'm going to show you what it is.
This is
perfect. Thank you, Annie. I'm so glad you guys liked it. Okay. Okay. I think I'm ready to show you what's going on in November. So if you were on my sprints last night, I showed what's happening in November. So most of you probably know already. But let's go ahead and make us small. And let's go ahead and spoil what's coming in November. So we're doing a Cozy with a Side of Food readathon. So it is a food book themed readathon for the month of food. I
love it. That's so exciting. I love it. Get all your peach cozies and read them. Something about peaches in it.
So go ahead and be compiling like a list of all your food theme books. Because like there's going to be prompts and stuff. And I think like it's really fun how I put the prompts together. So hopefully you guys will be able to find some food themed books to read. It's also a 2-week readathon because I was talking last night that I love readathons, but I also don't think that they're long enough. So
I'm trying to make
them longer so that we could all fit in what we want to read. So technically, yes, like a Friendsgiving sort of thing. We're all going to like come together community-wise and just enjoy food and community and love and friendship. So
I love it.
So I wasn't going to, but I'm like, why the heck not? I put it in here. So this is next month's buddy read. And this is a cozy mystery. Again, and I do want to touch on this for just a second because originally when I came out with Comfy Cozy, I said, well, Comfy Cozy is not a cozy mystery book club. And that's all we've read so far. So I do want to like preface that by saying we are going to eventually read other things. But I just think cozies are such a niche thing that you're safe with cozies.
Yeah.
And you just have so much to be enjoyed. And obviously there's so much in cozies. So we are going to eventually read other things, but this is our cozy mystery for November. It's called Drizzled with Death. And it's basically a Thanksgiving themed cozy, and it takes place as a pancake eating festival.
Oh, that sounds so fun!
I know. I'm so freaking excited.
The main character is a syrup maker.
Yes, and basically the murder happens when this person is eating the pancakes and was poisoned by the syrup.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing!
Syrup company is like looked at. Now, I don't think that this one is on Kindle Unlimited. I don't think this one is on like anything like that, but hopefully maybe some libraries have it, maybe some used bookstores have it, because it is cozy mystery and maybe it might be cheaper on Amazon too if you want to buy the physical copy. So yeah, that's what we're going to be reading for November.
That's so exciting. I love that. And are you also having, I think Wendy said, an unofficial buddy read at the Spell Shop?
Yes, next month.
That's in October. This is in November. So technically our next book club meeting will be in November, but in October we're going to unofficially buddy read the Spell Shop and continue with Live and Let Try. So
I love it.
Yeah. So let's go back. Yes. I'm so excited because like I thought about this at the beginning of the year and it's like crazy that I'm like showing it to you. So
I love it. I feel like the book club has gotten so big and just well-rounded. There's so many great people here.
It's definitely my child. Like I've put so much love into it and so much work into it. And you guys are just like everybody in the chat and everybody that continues to participate just makes it so worth it to me. So it really is like a little community, little family. So
it's awesome.
All right. Well, thank you, LeaBeth and Wendy, for joining me tonight. I'm so thankful for each and every one of you, and Wendy and LeaBeth for joining me. But yeah, hopefully I love that we're so excited. Friendsgiving. Oh, thank you, Coletta. Oh, thank you. You guys are so sweet. I just love you guys.
It's true though. Like your whole, like even your just different things that you popped up, like our screen casting and everything. It was like such a great presentation. I was like, whoa.
I'm very extra. I mean, I think that's just the teacher name, just very extra. But thank you.
You're like Gwen. Gwen and you are the same, cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, we are both teachers, or she was a teacher at one point, so I feel like that just like runs in our blood. We couldn't do the bare minimum if we tried. Yes, thank you guys. Oh, love you guys so much. You guys are so sweet. All right, Wendy and LeaBeth, again, thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me this month and reading this with me. I love you both so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Yes. And you guys will definitely like return. This is not your last time on Comfy Cozy. You just know that.
You're honored OG guests. We will return.
All right, lovelies. We're going to go ahead and sign off for the night. I apparently signed off early. We were like, what do we do? All right, lovelies. We will see you somewhere else on the internet. Bye, guys.
Bye.